What's the date today again?
17th of
17th.
March.
So March 17th, 2010, out here at Alan and Mary Jo Rabideaux's farm out the orchard. And we'll learn about the many things, but especially about the whole history of the apple industry here. So Bobby?
Yeah, Bob Nelson here, reporting in. I want to start off basically when you guys are. My thrust today again is to get to know you guys so that future generations will also know you. Hopefully, do that through this interview. To get to know you best, I guess, is I always like to go to the nuts and bolts of hard history, and that is to tell us a little bit about who you are, who your parents are, who your children are. We can do this over the length of this whole thing too. And then there's some soft history, which I call, and John loves that stuff, and that's good stories about old tales. And I'm really interested in getting to know the story of the orphan train and, probably all the fun things you've had in that orchard and stuff. So with that in mind, I'll start with Alan.
Okay.
Also known by the local guys here as Bummy for all these years.
That's for
So
sure.
I'll try and use Alan the rest of the day or whatever. But Alan, tell us a little bit about. Let's go with your parents.
Okay.
Start right there.
Okay, my mother came from New York on an orphan train, and she was, according to this is her adoption papers right here that we have from back then, and she was 12 years old, and I don't know, but ahead of that, I thought she came here when she was 2 years old but they put her on a train, so I don't know. It says in here she was 12, so I mean I don't know what the rest of the deal on that, but she was brought up on the train with, I think there was 2,800 and some kids over the period of years that the orphanage put on trains, dress them all up. I found a book about it, and what they did, dress them all up, and they'd ship them out to different parts of the world. And a lot of kids went to dairy farms, big farms, just mostly people got them just for labor, and that part of the deal. And
About when was that? When did the orphan trains?
well, it was in in the 1890s, and that part of it, or even before that, there was quite a few years in between that. They kept bursting. What they did is they picked up all the kids. There was getting to be so many kids on the streets in New York, that were just left. People just left their kids, and then this Catholic church, Catholic orphanage. That's where they all dropped them off at. It's always said something about how they found a note in a basket. Please take care of my kids, and left them off there. And then, well, anyway, my mother was one of those that they put on a train, and she came all the way up to Redcliffe, and there was a Indian lady by the name of Isabel Peterson that adopted her and her husband, his name Martin Peterson, and they adopted her. And I always asked my mother, asked her a couple times, I said, wouldn't you like to know who your folks were, where you came from and who you were? And she said, no. She said, I know who my parents are and where I came from. She said, they love me. And, like that. And she never did look into it. All we knew is her name was Humphrey.
Never went back to New York and tried to,
What was her full name?
Elizabeth
Elizabeth.
Humphrey.
Yeah.
And how old was she when she came here?
Well, she was adopted, according to this, she was 12.
12.
Yeah. And over a period of time that, I don't even know how she met my father. She married Frank Rabideaux,
Okay.
and they lived in Redcliffe in a little house where Peterson's grocery store is now.
Okay, right on.
Lived there for
Didn't your brother Bob
Yep.
own that for a number
Right.
of years? And
We lived there for 65 years.
65
All
years.
the kids. I was born in that house.
Just a quick question.
I was.
Just a quick question.
Okay.
Was that where the old Buffalo Bay School was down below there?
It never was a school there, but there is land there that Buffalo gave to that it was preserved for a school. You can't sell it.
I'm trying to think of the name of the sisters that, there was a sister society, I think, that was given parts of that property down in there too. I can't remember that.
There's 2 acres for a school to put in there.
To put there.
And my brother Bob owned that property from behind our house all the way down to DePerry's house, all the way to the lake.
Down there.
So we were going to sell it, and in that deed there is 2 acres for a school. And the only way you could get that taken out of there is if the president signed off on it. So needless to say, we didn't mess with it.
Some things are better off left alone.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, there was 9 of us in our family. The oldest was my brother Francis, and then my sister Eleanor, brother Bob, and my sister Joan and Irene, and my brother Dan, Shirley. I was at the tail end of the deal. I was the second of the youngest. My sister Janet was the youngest. So we're getting up there all, and our family's getting old too.
Would be considered a fairly old family.
Everyone's still alive now?
We lost 3. My brother Francis he was going in the service for 30 years. He went all through the Second War, all through the Korean War. He had 18 months to go, and they sent him to Vietnam. He got killed in Vietnam.
Oh.
And my brother Bob, he was in the tanker division. He was in with Patton when they made that big push through Germany and that.
Oh boy.
And he got wounded there. He was 18 years old, and all he remembered was he said is seeing his helmet rolling off the tank, and they had a big hole in it.
Oh.
Woke up, he said, and I don't know how long after he said he woke up, he was already in the States and everything. Doctors told him he'd never walk again. He said, don't listen to that, Mom. He said, I'll show you who's going to get out of here. By God, he kept pushing and pushing, and he started walking, got down, walked with a walker, and then he went with a cane, or with crutches, then he went with a cane. And
one thing I remember about Bobby, he was always upbeat. He never ever, he may have had a little other side to him, but I mean, he never ever brought that up about what, he sufferred a lot too. That was not an easy life.
Yeah, he was paralyzed on his whole right side.
Yeah.
Had no feeling at all.
Yeah.
I can remember one time we always went for a ride in a pickup, and one time he got out of the truck and slammed the door, and he walked away, and his hand still stuck in the door, and the duck stuck right across here, smashed all the fingers.
He never felt it.
Never even felt it. But then he could turn right around, he could feel a fly walking or something
on the
inside. And that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And he lived to be, and the doctor said he'd never lived to be 30. He was 18 when he got hit. He lived to be 82 years old.
Yeah, he just passed a few years ago.
Yeah. Then I lost my sister Eleanor just when
It'll be a year
it'll be a year ago. She was 87 when she passed away.
Who did she marry then?
She was married to a Howard DeBryan. He was a conservation warden.
Howie D. Bryan.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. Didn't he live in that Ironwood area or
No,
Hurley?
they lived in Phillips, Wisconsin all those years.
So she was married to Howie.
Yeah. Then my sister Joan's married to August Grunwald. They lived down in Chippewa Falls. They're both retired. They work for the state. My sister Irene, she lives in Cumberland. She was married to Ken Ryberg. And then
Isn't that where you have those fantastic reunions or something?
We do. Every 5 years we get
Big
together.
reunion where you bring whitefish to them. Talk a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that reunion thing.
Oh, when all the kids, all the grandkids and that come, and not only whole family comes from, they get to the reunion, and we get about half a fish box full of whitefish fillets. I'm telling you, you can already get it going there. And then we fry that up, and man, it's just unbelievable. Then about that time of the year, we always go in August, so you got the sweet corn and that, and they're really quite a deal.
You should invite a few of your neighbors from the township along with you or something. Sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah,
There's about
we do
85 or so people that.
Yeah, we ended up with 100,
About 100 maybe.
104, 105.
Pretty much all direct descendants then
From his mother and dad.
From your mother and dad.
Yeah, just my mother and dad's, what they started. Yeah, we had quite a few.
Tell us a little bit about Frank. What was he like?
My
What did he do?
dad? My dad?
Yeah.
I never really knew too much about his. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, it's not like what my mother went through. She come on that orphan train and all this. Now, he came. His mother and dad lived in Odena. Well, anyway, his father was John Rabideaux. He was a Frenchman. Came down from Canada back in what year was that be?
What year is your dad born?
My dad was born in 1900, something like that. So it was just when they were, it seemed like everybody was over on that island, over Madeline Island, and that fur-bearing days and all this and that.
Well, they came with American Fur Company, probably as either.
Most likely, yeah, I think so. And then he ended up over in between Odena and Ashton. He had a 300-acre dairy farm over there that he purchased, and he ran the thing for quite a few years there. And his name was John. Couldn't hardly speak English. I can still remember.
Recevez coup, mademoiselle.
Yeah, he does all French all the time.
Parlez-vous français?
You could cut this out if you want, but his wife sent him to town. He went to Ashton, and then she sent him to town to get some, and she said, when you're in town, get some peaches. Well, he went to town, and he looked around, and he forgot all about the peaches. Had to have a couple, had to stop and have a few, before he got back to the farm. Anyways, he got back home with the groceries, and she said, well, where's the peaches? He said, I look all over, dear. He said, I look here, look there, not a bitch in town.
Couldn't say peaches.
No, he just couldn't say peaches. That was a broken French.
He must have been quite a character.
He was quite. I still remember him. I was pretty young when he passed away. Mm-hmm. He was a big, tall, had real white hair. I suppose that's where I got mine from. But he was about 6'5", big, tall guy, big Frenchman. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where my son Michael, he's about 6'5", and I think that's where he got his thing from.
Do you remember your grandmother that he was married to at all? John's wife?
Yeah, she was a Brisette.
Okay.
Yeah, she was an Indian woman. She was a Brisette. She would be, Morris Brisette, Hank Brisette, all those Brisettes. She was that came out of that family.
Out of that batch of kids?
Yeah, out of that. No, that would have been either their
aunt maybe?
Yeah, their aunt, I think it was. Because my dad was related to Ted and all them. That was his first cousin.
Okay.
So it would have to be their mother and sisters up in there. That would have to be their aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that Brisette name is synonymous with Redcliffe, and I didn't know.
Goes back a long ways. Brisettes are.
Yeah, that's pretty much a French name too.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Way back to the 1850s.
Her name was Josephine Brisette.
Josephine Brisette.
Yeah.
Married John Rabideaux, and they had a child by the name of Frank Rabideaux.
Yeah.
Did they have any other children?
My dad had 2 sisters and 2 brothers. There was 5 in their families, and they all moved. They were all over, and they all had a mess of kids. Mm-hmm. There's a John Rabideaux in every family. And even today, I got a John Rabideaux.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know my uncles, all them. There was John Rabideaux in their family like that. But,
for the record, do you remember the names of all of your dad's brothers and sisters?
Yeah, there was a Henry and John. See, there's another John.
Yeah.
And then my dad's name was Frank. My sister, my aunt was named Jenny, and Jenny Rabideaux.
Okay.
And then Irene Rabideaux.
So those are the 5 children.
5 children on my dad's side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then my one sister is named Irene Rabideaux. I don't know if it was after them or not. I couldn't.
Do you have any recollections of any of those people at all? Or?
Yeah, I can remember them quite a bit. In that day we always went to, like my sister, my aunt Jenny, and my dad. They were brothers and sisters. So we always went over to Ashton, and they lived up on the other side by up the 13 where the Northern College is right now.
Oh, okay,
up in that area, they had a little farm up there. We used to go there. If we weren't there on Sunday, they'd come to our house. Mm-hmm. Sunday was always chicken day.
Chicken, in northern Wisconsin, every day was chicken day for a while. Yeah.
Kill the chicken before the,
Yeah, right, before they came.
yeah.
So you're pretty young when you used to go over there then?
Yeah, I was just real young. I was the second and the youngest of the family, so I was
What
pretty
year were
young.
you born, Bobby?
I was born in 37,
1930.
May of 37.
Okay.
I was born in Redcliffe, right in the house I said where they lived all those years. The only thing I always remembered is my dad went fishing that day, and I was born. We had a Mrs. Gurnall. Dick Gurnall's grandmother is the one that I was a midwife, and she's the one that took care of me when I was born.
Dick Colonel's grandmother.
But anyway, my dad went fishing, and he come home and he had a whole mess of perch. He was fishing down off of Redcliffe, off the dock down there. And he says, "Look at all I caught today." And then my mother was laying in bed, and she said, "Look what I caught." So,
Got one of these while you were away there, dear.
yeah, right. And I think that's where I got the fishing, love to fish from.
Probably, yeah. It's probably in your blood.
Yeah.
Mary Jo, let's take a little tour with you now. And well, obviously, I know that the Betzel name is synonymous with the apple orchards around here. Just tell me a little bit about your mom and dad and that group, where they're from, and how they comes to Bayfield and stuff like that.
My dad came up here in probably 1920, roughly. And he was from Minneapolis, and he wanted to farm. So he and another gentleman, and I don't remember his name, but anyway.
Palm, or Bill Palm.
Palm.
Okay.
Anyway, they came up here, and it was wilderness, trees. I mean, it was just land. And so he wanted to come up here and farm, but in those days there wasn't much money, so they came up a couple of years just in the summertime, and he started to clear the land with a horse and whatever they used to pull the trees out one at a time and clear it, and bought the acreage that was known as Betzel's Farm up on Betzel Road. And then
How many acres was that farm?
at one time it was 350 acres, so it was pretty much the top of that.
Did he clear that
He did,
pretty much all by
yes,
himself?
He did. He cleared
He
it all.
told me some stories about when they first started clearing the land. He said, you never had, cats and all that. It was just horses and dynamite. And he said that little orchard that was right next to Einer Apple Company there, that little Welch's, they just cut them out last year. He said he put that orchard out right in the brush. He planted it right into the woods, and he cleared the woods away from it when they first started.
And the bigger trees came.
But there was no big stuff. He said you could see from their house up there now. He said you could see all the way over to Willie Olson's house. You could see the roof of his house. So you could imagine just a brush and stuff like that.
All the labor
Big
that
fires
went
and that went through that, through those places. Go ahead.
You know more
No,
because
that's fine.
he spent more time when he worked up there for all those years when my dad was still alive, so he probably knows more. He married my mother in 1923. They were both 23 and 24 years old. And so then she came from Mankato, Minnesota. And how they met, I don't know, but she was the oldest of 12.
Oh boy.
And so evidently they knew how to work. Back in, so they came up here, and when they got married, they came up here and they spent at least 4 years, just summers, trying to make enough. He would work all winter as a welder in Minneapolis, and they had a little live down there. And so they'd save up enough money so they'd come up here to work in the summer to try and get this little farm going.
Up and running.
And they had, in fact, it's hard to believe, but they built, we used to call it the chicken coop. But it was like a one room, just high enough for them to be in. And that was their little room that they lived in every summer for at least 4 or 5 years. And they had my brother Gene 2 years after they were married, and then
Gene had been born what year then? 27?
Yeah.
yeah,
Somewhere in
Like
there?
he is the same age as Brother Bob.
27,
Exactly.
and then
Okay.
my sister was born a year and a half later,
And her name is?
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
And they both have passed away.
And then you came a little bit later?
Oh, much, much later. I came when my mother was 40, so that would be, well, there was actually 18 years, I think it was 18 years between my brother and I.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, she said she went to the doctor because she wasn't feeling well. And came home and she says, "Guess what, Ed? I'm going to have a baby." And well, it was really it was a shock. I mean, you know.
I'm quite ready for that
No
one.
kidding.
So you weren't planned.
I know. I was just, I just came.
A good little Catholic child.
And so back in, like I said, when they were building the farm, it was piece by piece, and it was probably about 5 years at least before they were able to stay there year round.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had dairy cows. They had a dairy farm first,
Okay.
and they milked cows. And that was probably in the 40s.
They had a milk route all through town.
They had a milk route, and they delivered milk every day, and they had what they called a milk house. And they would bottle the milk in glass bottles. I even have one of the little lids yet that says Betzel's Dairy on it. I don't know
Really?
why I got it, but I still do.
It's good to have.
And so then my dad would take this little black truck, and it had Betzel's Dairy on it, and he would go to town and deliver milk and cream. And then my mother would make cottage cheese and butter, and would deliver that to the people that they're customers.
So they had a regular little route they ran.
They had a regular route. They'd go every day or whatever.
Kind
they
of like
did.
old Dunkel years ago.
Right,
Same thing.
same thing.
Same thing.
And then I think probably that was in the 40s.
Did they ever deliver any? They ever belong to that Creamery Association downtown? Do you know where? You know
Yeah, right.
the rum line is now.
Yeah.
That was a creamery building. I wonder if they ever got
I
into that.
don't
I think
think
so.
so,
I don't
because
think
when
A
it
little
got
bit
to
later.
be in the early 50s, yeah, probably is when they started with the
They
fruit.
went into growing beans and that stuff too at that
When the
time. Remember
cannery?
when the cannery started in?
Remember
they
the
got
cannery?
Heavy,
Yeah,
heavy in
absolutely.
beans and
That
quite a
was
few
in-
acres in beans. And
There was beans, and then they had, I can remember picking beans because I had to work too. There was no laying around.
You didn't get any Saturday mornings off.
But I remember picking beans, and of course the kids, they were saying, well, if we put rocks in the bottom, you get more weight because you got paid by the bushel, by the weight. And of course I did it, but I did get in trouble. But those were, then they went from beans, they went to strawberries. And
Yeah.
then we had, that was in the early 50s, very early 50s, when they had just pickers. And we had quite a few acres of
I
strawberries.
used to go and run in an area of for up to 8 to 10 acres of strawberries, just berries.
Just berries.
And
They
the-
had rhubarb, and that's when he was
We
working there.
used to graze like 35 acres of rhubarb at one time. Yeah. Then we
Where's
sold-
that up on the front?
Right there
front-
where that orchard is, that one I owned along Betzel Road there. That,
Yeah.
Right next to the road, that was all rhubarb all the way down, and then up on the hill up there where I own now, that was a lot of that was in the rhubarb. Then they had cherry trees. Went into we had two orchards, about 700 trees in each orchard of cherries. You should have seen how those things grew up here.
Were the old
one
Montmorencys or?
Yeah, that's what it was, the Montmorency cherry. Very hard to take care of, but if you didn't spray them, the leaves would fall off.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had a shock hole, they call what a disease called shock hole. The leaves would turn yellow and get red dots on it, and then it would fall off.
I've got some of those Montmorencys at my place, and one tree died, but the other one seems to be doing okay now.
Well, probably. They had a mission cherry that the missionaries brought over to this country from, they planted, they were on Madeleine Island too when the missionaries first came. And I don't know where Bill Shuga got them, but I still had some here, and absolutely no spray to nothing on them. And you should have seen those things, how they grew. They were a smaller cherry, but You didn't know. You
Are
didn't
there
have
any
to spray.
left here that, or are they all gone now?
There's one down the hill over here. I still got it. It comes up every year. The birds and the trees, you still
You,
pick it
You'll
clean.
never get a cherry off it because the birds and chipmunks
will
will get either the seeds
But
or
I
the...
gave one to the priest over in Washburn, and then he's got that tree that's still over over in by the church over there in Washburn. You should see the height of that thing.
you know, those cherry trees that you're talking about right there were at La Pointe in the early 1800s.
Right.
That period of time when they planted cherry groves over there, and they're also at Michigan Island. They had a big orchard out at Michigan Island in 1872. So that I got to take a look at that tree one of these days just for old time's sake. Just to
Right.
see. You got to protect one cherry for me or something like that. So I can say I actually had one of the mission
Yeah.
cherries.
Well, we used to have pickers come and pick cherries, and then we bought 2 cherry pitters, and we used to process the cherries. They'd run through it was probably a machine. We had 2 of them. Had a drum, a rolling drum. It was probably about this wide, about 24 to 25 inches wide. Then it had little rubber cups in rows all the way across that like that. And then that would turn, and then there was a hopper where the cherries would go down, and then the cherries would fall into those little rubber cups. And then the machines would come down with needles that would pop the pits through, and just keep clunk, clunk, clunk. That's all you hear all day, and then it would just keep turning. We had some big water vats that were up above, and it would fill them, and it kept cold water running through them to cool the cherries down before you pit them. That worked the best.
Oh, you see.
And you'd open that big valve on there, and the cherries in the water would come out, and then it'd run on the conveyor like that into the machines. And then,
With 1,400 trees, now you're talking a lot of cherries.
yeah, we had lots of them.
Where'd you guys sell them in those days?
We sold a lot of them. We sold a lot of them up into North Dakota. There was a guy up there that had a big jelly factory, and that's where a lot of the rhubarb went. We used to put up rhubarb in these tins. The tin was it told about 30 pounds. They were about this big round, and they were about this high.
I remember.
Had a lid on them. Then you put a plastic bag inside, like to put the cherries in. Then you folded that up. It was like a liner for inside of that.
Okay, I can remember those tins that you used. They were metal, right?
Yeah, and we processed apples.
And didn't you freeze some of those cherries too,
All
if
of
I
them.
remember?
All of it was
Was
frozen.
in the freezers.
So you had a large,
Yeah.
large freezer complex there.
We used to start processing apples. We had 4 machines that would. You had 4 people that you just stood there all day. The apples run across on a 2-way conveyor. They went this way and they come back the other way. If you missed them, they come the other way, and you just kept feeding this machine. It'd do 54 apples a minute. You'd put the apples on a machine, and it would come down, and a little hand would grab it and bring it up, and a hollow tube would come down and take the seed cell out. You'd put it so the blossom end was sticking up and go right through. Then another little hand would grab that off of that and push it over, and then another little knife would come down, go through the center, and then that would spin and take the seed cell out of the apple. Well, then that would go to another thing, would pick it up and put it over and drop it down, and then a little hand would come down. It had like that. It would come down that spindle,
Oh.
and it would slice it into the slicer. And then the next apple would just keep slicing like that, and then it would go on a worm gear, would go out and get on a conveyor, then it'd run up, and then they had 8 women standing on a conveyor going through all the apples that come through. Some of them you had a little piece of peeling on it, or the knife would miss the core or something, and stuff like that.
You had to clean it up then.
They had 14 people working there at one time there.
When was that? What year would that have been?
That would have been in the 70s, all the way up to the 70s, the 80s. We used to do up like those 2 big freezers. We'd fill them right up to the door, right up to the ceiling. We used to put up like 55,000 cans of rhubarb, cherries, and apples.
All fruits.
Yeah,
30 pounds a can.
Was Ed still in the picture then in those days, or were you
Yeah,
guys kind of like?
when we just about he was get pretty sick at the end of that thing
He
there.
died in 1974.
74.
74. So
Yeah.
if he was still around, you're in the
Yeah,
early
he was still
70s.
there. Yeah. Give a lot of credit. That boy, he never did nothing until he really thought it over. You know what I mean? He never
Yeah.
just jumped into something. He had to use his head first. And
Let me back up just a second.
Yeah.
Do you recall who we bought the property from?
who we bought it from?
Yeah.
I really don't know. We didn't get married till 60. So, and I'm just going by, a lot of this was by stories that he told me about when he planted and all that stuff, and what he told me about
I
things.
wonder if you ever mentioned that. I finally got it out of Mary Torbick, that she believes her parents bought the property from the old Powell family that used to be here real early in time. I'm just wondering if Ed bought this property from Sally Batan or somebody like that. I know Sally had this chunk of the corner up here at one point
Boy,
in time.
that's one thing I couldn't
That's
tell you
something
now
we've never
about.
heard of where
Never thought
he
about it.
bought it from. I don't know.
I'm thinking I see on an old 1906 plot book that this belonged to, remember the name Sally Batan? Commercial fisherman in Bayfield, but he lived off towards Red Cliff there on the Davis
Yeah.
farm.
Well, we bought this place here in 1963 from Bill Shuga.
Okay,
This was the Shuga farm.
okay.
And
Maybe
then
this was part of the Paul property at one time
Well,
too.
Because
the
the
old-
old house was right up
Our
on that hill.
abstract goes back to, it's about this thick.
We're gonna take a look at that.
Even it's in the bank, but even Pabst Blue Ribbon Company owned it at one time, the property. I don't know how that got into it, but I seen it in there when I went through it.
Barley fields forever here, brother.
Some artifacts down the hill here.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, that's a fun story.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ed was really in this apple industry and in that particular field, he was really a shaker and mover. I know for a fact that they had the Bayfield Horticulture Company, and about that point in time, Mr. Hauser was just starting to show his, real abilities, and I guess he came here at about 17 or something.
Well, I think Hausers, were the first to have one of the orchards. That Doug Knight, I think, started it with the whole thing back up in there. And then he started in 23 when he first put his first orchard out. Like I said,
That he set out himself.
Yeah.
We know that that Bill Knight set the first orchards out in Bayfield in 1905, but that was the industrial orchards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were lots of guys that had 5 trees
Yeah. Right.
and stuff like that, but he's kind of...
Why don't you just lift that? Where were we on that? We used to buy all the apples from all the neighbors.
You didn't
a
have
lot of
enough
them.
to supply yourself at one time,
Yeah.
so you...
Bought from Hausers, bought from John Hauser, bought from Craig Johnson, and anybody that had apples wanted to sell. We used to start early September on the early apples, and man, we used to go all the way up into end of November.
Did you personally go over the road yourself, Bummy, and drive? Where were
did.
some of the stops on the way?
Oh, we went up to we went from here. We got into a lot of bakeries, little small bakeries, all through Minnesota. We went up into Thief River Falls and Little Falls and Fargo, North Dakota. Did a lot up there. We went up to Jamestown, North Dakota, way up in through there.
That's a
Went
long
down
ways
to
away.
Yankton, South Dakota, that far down.
All with frozen berry,
Yeah, all frozen
products.
stuff, yeah. And we hit a couple of those state hospitals, Jamestown.
So you really had
Yeah,
you
we
ran
had
a
big
trap
run,
line in those
yeah,
days.
Yeah, and we sold a lot to another guy down by Eau Claire. He had a pie fill. He was making pie fill. We sold him a lot of berries, not so much berries, but we didn't do a lot of berries. Sold them mostly all fresh, but a lot of apples and cherries and that.
Did you haul bushel baskets of apples too, or is that? I know a lot of guys in the area
No,
did that, but
We went into mostly all bushel boxes
okay.
and that kind of thing. Then the frozen stuff.
Yeah.
But we got rid of a lot of fresh apples too. I remember that back orchard way back there, and when we first started that one. The whole Bayfield Coast Guard station is built off the rocks that they hauled off that hill.
the Coast Guard station,
The dock, the whole dock
the
down
one,
there.
I mean the one where the east,
Where the Coast Guard station is now?
Yeah.
Where they park their ship and that, their boats?
okay.
That whole thing, all the way out, come from all the rocks up on top of the hill.
There's a famous story that the rocks grow naturally up here.
I think they do.
They're organic up
Right
here.
on a corner, right up here, you would never believe it, where that little thing was. Bob Shovik one time come and asked me, he says, he said, yeah, I see a lot of rocks sticking up there. He said, if I bring a rock fork in here, he said, can I pick up some of them rock? I said, be my guest, He hauled 55 loads. He had dump trucks, I don't know, maybe they were a 10-yard dump, I imagine, over to Madeline Island when they were making the marina over there. 55 loads.
In the sand pit up here?
You couldn't even see where he scratched it.
But our
It was rock on top
I
of it.
often wondered why I know there's rock everywhere here, but I looked at that and I say, that's gotta be the only spot of sand in the whole area. So what he did was he went
He
through
took
it.
the rocks out of it.
So
Yeah, there was a lot of rock up there.
that's when they built the marina over there, or the,
Yeah. Our house here has got a foundation. The house is probably that wide, the foundation all the way around. Pete Wick down here lived right down below the hill that year. And he was a mason at that time. He made lots of basements in this.
you know, the
that
basement in the Nelson house, you know where my dad grew up there, kitty corner to the National Park Service. That's all Pete Wick's work too, and
Yeah.
probably that field stone come from here too.
Oh, definitely.
I'm sure it did. So
Betzel's house is the same thing. Same big wide. You couldn't drill through it if you wanted to.
I mean, it's
Big
like
white.
a fort. It's not a
Yeah, right.
basement.
You'll never move.
What year did they build their house? That was in the 50s, wasn't it?
Probably 1948 or so.
This house that you're sitting in right
No,
now.
the
My mother
Betzel's
didn't
new
have-
house.
the
That
Betzel's
was the
house
new
was
house
up.
they built. They
This
used to have a
one-
little white house that was set over on the side.
Okay.
That's where she was born and raised, in that house there.
And that house is
And
I
gone
then-
now.
was
Then-
about 8. And then they built the house that sits there now, the big house.
Yeah, okay.
They built that in 1948, I believe. They
Okay.
took all the lumber and had it made,
Well, they had it milled down and
milled down, and
This house here was built in the early 50s. In this house,
took to the sugar.
yeah, Bill Shuga built it. He had all the lumber sawed and the whole works on here. And right on top of the hill up here, that's where the Torbicks and Shugas lived. That was the old folks there.
You know, Mary.
Yeah, Mary and
Mary and Bill, or not Bill,
they
Mary.
got
and-
into a kind of a squabble. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to say nothing because I don't know nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But that was, they split it up then.
Yeah.
Shuga and Mrs. Torbick were brother and sisters. And they got, I don't know what had happened there. But I
Had a
can't,
difference of opinion.
right,
We'll
I
leave
don't
it
want to
at
say anything about it because I don't know nothing about it.
that. Yeah. Well, I've heard that too. So.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, tell us a little bit more about your dad. What was his personality like? We know that he's a hardworking guy. If I was to greet him on the street, what would I? How would you describe?
Shake your hand and talk to you for an hour.
Your ear would fall off.
Your ear would fall out. He was a very outgoing man and loved to talk.
Well, kind of something to talk about how he was. And I went to ask him if I could marry his daughter. He looked at me. He lost an eye, when he was working, and he used to work in the bus company down in the cities before he moved up here, and he was soldering radiators, and he took pinchers and cut off some metal, and it flew up and hit him in the eye. That's how he lost his eye. He had that one eye. He kind of looked at me like that, and he says, "Oh, Sonny," he says, "I don't know if I should congratulate you or feel sorry for you." That's the kind of guy he was.
It sounded like you probably for the rest of your life you could get along with him pretty
We
good.
did. We were very good friends.
Probably
We-
really good
we
friends.
really
When he
very,
said
very-
something,
yeah.
he meant it.
Yeah,
I mean, you knew
when he was been.
when he was mad or if he had something to say, but other than that, he was pretty easygoing.
Well, one thing about it, he never beat around the bush. If he had something to say, it was said, and it was done with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was that kind of a guy.
Did he belong to any organizations or anything like that in the
He
area?
was
He was a Mason.
Mason, and he was director of the bank.
Of the
Of
First
the-
National?
Well, whatever bank was at that time.
Washburn State Bank.
Washburn State Bank, that's
Yeah.
what it was. And then he was affiliated with the Catholic Church, very strong Catholic.
Yeah, he was in the Knights of Columbus. And he was
Yeah.
in,
That's a
stuff like
fraternal
that.
order
Yeah.
there.
Right, and that I have to say, I think I'm probably the only one in Bayfield that was born in Bayfield on the corner upstairs.
The old press office.
The old press office?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever know that that was a little, like a midwife type place where everybody went to have their babies?
Really?
And my mother, she had told me, she said, well, there's two of us, and one was Dickie, no, not Dickie,
Tom Pulaski.
Tom Pulaski.
Pulaski was born there too?
Yes, and there was always the front bedroom, and the ladies liked the front bedroom because it was light. So they were trying to see who, my mother or Mrs. Pulaski, Fern, would be first to get that room. Because in those days you stayed 2 weeks with the baby.
In the readiness room there.
So it so happened that I was born first, and so then Tom was born 2 weeks later, in March. So they laughed about it because she said I got there first and I got the good room,
Oh,
and Fern had to take a different room. But
who's
that,
the midwife then? She ever tell you?
no, that I don't remember who the midwife. They had a doctor that would come in and that, but that was the place, and that was on the corner, and quite a few babies were born. But I'm thinking that Tom and I are probably the only ones left that were actually born in that building, because I just don't know who else. But I know the two of us were.
We're going to interview Tom Friday, so we'll have to ask him
I
about
wonder
it.
if he knows that.
Yeah, I wonder.
We know something you don't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
What do you mean? I can just hear him.
Right.
He's a great guy.
Other than my mother and dad, they coming from Minnesota and that, and having their roots, both were German. And
All your aunts, the whole family had a long lifespan.
my mother, yes, they all did.
If your dad died in 74 and you must have been born in what, 1899? Am I getting that out of this? So you've been about 75?
1900. He was.
1900, yeah.
So he was about 74 years old.
Yeah, right. And then my mother was born in the same year, but she lived to be 91. My mother's lifespan was, all her sisters and brothers lived to be quite, even her own
in
mother.
the 90s.
Her own mother was like 92. And that was a long time back in those days. You know, it's more common now to be in your 90s, but not back then.
Mary's mother and dad, and my mother and dad, they were both they had the same birthdays in the same year.
They
Really?
were all
Oh, okay, so
same
kind of
ages.
easy to remember those birthdays.
Yeah,
huh?
right. Yeah.
Right.
So when you were growing up on the farm here, you probably got large gardens and stuff too. Did you guys make a point to go down to Andy's and get your cucumbers or anything like that?
No,
or-
you had your garden. Everything was canned. My mother canned everything. They used to raise the cows, the pigs, the chickens. They had,
God, I think she even saved the squeal when they. But
yeah, everything was pretty much canned. And of course, in those days they had the root cellars. And I can remember having, it's still up there to Betzel's.
Beautiful red cellar at Betzel's, yeah.
Oh, it's still-
It's still there, but I can
Well, some
remember
more
going
peop-
down there and, you know, it's just
Yeah.
like a dark hole and you open up the door and I didn't like it, but I had to go and get potatoes and stuff out of it.
Rutabagas
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Biggies and-
some more Pete Wicks work,
oh, I was
really,
gonna say
like that. You know, the big wells.
it'd be a bomb shelter this
Yeah,
day and
really.
age.
Yeah, that's probably right, yeah, right. I can't, well, they used to raise, well, just about everything. They had to, because they went through the Depression with the stamps and the sugar and, you know, not getting the staples. But she said they were better off because they had the farm than
Yeah.
most people.
Yeah.
Well, they used to like my dad was telling me when he was a kid, they'd barter. You bring me potatoes, I'll bring you fish.
Right.
Keg of fish, they'd salt the fish at Stockton Island,
We went through that.
Presqu'île, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, old John would show up and say, "Well, what do you got for potatoes?" And you know, they'd switch around, and it was really a different period in time. You didn't have the supermarkets and luxuries that you have nowadays.
I remember when it was, well, even as well, I'd say 12, 13. Going to Ashland was once a month. And then you picked up all you had a list. My mother and dad had a list, and they would be there all day. We got to eat a little sandwich here, which was a big deal. To eat out at all.
Oh boy, big time.
It
Do
was
you
big time.
remember, did you guys, was there a passenger train that would take in the Ashland in those days? I know that during World War One, my mother says my grandfather in the end of the Depression there.
How old do you think we are?
What I'm telling you is I'm leading up to this is that they took the train to
Yeah,
Ashland.
yeah, they did.
My mother and I went on the train to California because my sister lived in California. And I can remember riding the train for a number of days to get there.
Do you remember the depot in town down here?
Yeah,
I wonder if it was still going when you guys were kids.
yeah, it was. I
It was.
remember. Yeah.
But I, Francis
Mrs.
Ryan.
Francis Ryan was the conductor, or the
Yeah.
the depot agent.
I
down
would
there.
say it probably in the 50s. I'll bet you is when it quit. Middle 50s. Because I graduated in 59 and I don't think it was there then.
Yeah, I remember the building. But I just wondered if you got one of those
I
famous
still
train
remember when
rides
they
to
used to-
Ashland.
The train used to come in and then they would turn it around on that, turn the thing around on that,
Turnstile.
turn it and send it back the other way. And then
Yeah.
that was the end of the line.
I want to move in, Bummy. Now, I know that you went to schools in the Bayfield area, but I think, did you both start out in parochial school?
I did. I went to 8 years in Redcliffe at the sister, nuns had the Catholic school.
All right.
And then
That would be the St. Francis School, was
yeah,
it?
right. And then in what year was that? It burnt down. I can still remember that. I was pretty young though. And then we went to school down, and they had that old community building. And then all the men and all that got together, and they put up petitions and that. And each class had a. We went to
In
school
the gymnasium?
in the gymnasium part, yeah. Then down the basement, the ladies came and cooked the meals on there.
So that's all
There
it
were
went
some
to.
fantastic dinners down there. I mean, the good old time.
Real food.
Yeah. They put on some good dinners.
Who were some of the lady cooks that cooked for you guys?
There was a Mrs. Babineau, and then there was Mrs. What the heck was her name? Gurno was one. And then, well, those are the two that all the way through that I had there that did the cooking. They didn't always have hot lunch all the time. We had to carry our lunch quite a bit too. It was what they had, what the government gave them. They didn't give them much
Oh, I thought
from the
maybe
government.
you get some of that good
Yeah.
Indian food there or
No,
something.
they didn't do it. There was macaroni and cheese and,
Come on,
and the hot dishes with the macaroni, with the little hamburger, and then what they had to throw in there. But it was good. It was
Yeah.
better than going home all the time for carrying your lunch.
If you're born at 37, I'm thinking Lionel Roy was telling me that he remembers when it burned, and I'm thinking it was in the 40s or sometime in the 40s, 45 maybe, where it went down, because he was telling me about that, where
Yeah,
the St.
I can-
Francis Catholic
Church,
school burned.
yeah. Then they built a new church there, or a new school. The church burnt down too, didn't it? And not at the same time, but a different time. They had
Yeah.
to build a new church there.
I'm not aware, I don't know the story in that church, but who was in your class with you out there from
It was in the
Redcliffe?
40. Who was in the class?
Yeah,
Out there in Redcliffe?
yeah.
Oh, there was lots of them. We had like 2 or sometimes 3 classes in one room. You know what I mean? That was different than nuns in there.
First, second, and third.
You think it was one of them, and some of them done this. You didn't mess around in school. I'll tell you that. They had that 3-cornered ruler. You got it no matter which way they swung it.
Couldn't be across the
saying they
knuckles
were
or
mean.
across the back of the head.
99% of the time, you really had it coming. There's no getting around. They were really good. They put up with a lot. Boy, the nuns did a lot of things out there for the mission schools and that. It was fantastic. I went to school with Merle DePerry,
Okay.
Kenny Brissett, Butterfield boys, Tunky, his name was Bernard, and Harry Butterfield, and those boys are all gone already. And Joey Duffy, he was younger than I was, but he was down in schools, and a lot of the Gordon boys. And,
Like Pinocchio in that
yeah,
bunch?
he was in school, Melvin.
Melvin.
Yeah, they were in
Schaub, was he there?
I don't know if he was pretty close in
Somewhere
there. I
around
would
the
say,
building
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, he was in there pretty close. It was
was like Duck Brissett and them.
Yeah, they were there.
Duck Gordon
Yeah.
and
All the everybody. They always had a school there. Always
Yeah.
had school there.
can you name a few of the girls that were in class with you too? I want to give the future generations
Oh,
an
okay.
idea.
There was some of the Montanas,
Okay.
Patsy Montana, Darlene, Darlene Peacock, Mary Lou Bear,
Mary Lou.
yeah, and Dorothy Duffy, Rosemary Duffy. Everybody that was in that era went to school there. Yeah, everybody went to 8 years there. My brother went. They, I don't know, but I think that was he went 2 years in Bayfield school there at the Catholic school in Bayfield. Then
Wait.
I don't know why that was. Then they went to from there. You were into ninth grade at the public school.
I'm of the impression that Mr. Gurno used to drive a little
Right.
bus type of thing.
He didn't
Can you
have a
tell
car,
us,
just a regular car. And he
Okay.
used to carry 6 of us at a time.
In
He used to make like 5-10 trips a day, going
Yeah,
back
right.
and forth. Yeah.
With all his kids.
Drop
Do
you off at your car.
you remember him at all? Or
Yeah, I do.
tell me a little bit about
A
him.
little short guy, kind
Yeah.
of real friendly. They lived right, you know where the casino is now?
Yeah.
Just a little bit southeast of that, where there's some big pines that are sticking up there, and he was an older guy.
Wasn't that where Mr. and Mrs. Gordon used to live in there at one point? in time?
Right, that was Philip Gordon's dad and mother.
Yeah.
They lived there after they passed away, after George and his wife,
Helen.
Carmen,
Helen and what was his dad's name?
Lawrence.
Lawrence Gordon. Yeah.
He was my godfather.
Oh, was
Lawrence
that
Gordon
right?
was, yeah.
He's quite a guy.
Tommy Joe still calls me cousin.
Was that right?
Hello, cousin.
Well,
He's a character, that Tom.
I imagine Philip was somewhere.
Philip,
there
I
in
went to school with Philip. Yeah.
What was he like in class? I can just
Ooh,
imagine.
you don't want to know.
Yeah.
He's,
Not quite ready for the system.
I could tell you some stories, but you wouldn't want to put them on tape.
You'd be surprised what we'll accept.
He was a character, I'll tell you. He went to school, and we always had jobs to do out there. I mean, sisters were good, but we used to have to go out and shovel. If the coal truck was coming, we had to shovel all the way from out in front of the church, all the way back, and then over to so the coal truck could get in and dump the coal down into the coal bin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember the teachers' names out there?
Sister Patrick, Sister Florence, Sister Cordula, Sister Victoria. She was there for many, many, many years. She was almost 90 when she finally left there. I mean,
Was she kind of like the
kinda
principal
died.
of the whole place? Or?
No, she was just one of the first ones that came. Sister Cordula was one of the cadet girls in Bayfield. She was a nun one of the girls that became a nun from Bayfield.
Mm-hmm.
And she spent a lot of years there too, out there.
When do you think that church school started out there? That's like about
Ooh, I don't know.
1870s or 80s? wasn't it?
All my sisters know everybody went to school there. So I mean, they were in their 80s when my sister Eleanor was 87 when she passed away,
How long ago?
and she just
That's
died
true.
a year ago. So they
You're
even
talking
figured-
right around the turn of the century.
yeah.
But I know that there were schools out there, parochial, from 1872 and on,
Yeah.
of one sort, and that's why I
Yeah.
kind of wondered if there was one down in your
I
brother's.
just wonder if my mother went to school out there. She must have. Sure, she did. She had to.
Could have been St.
Yeah,
Francis.
yeah, it was all there. It was there for a long time.
There was one they always referred to as the Buffalo Bay School, and that would probably be the Buffalo Biz, right in Buffalo
right
Bay there.
yeah.
So, but it always kind of confused me because of that 2
Yeah,
acres you were
right.
talking
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah.
But that was their, one of the teachers was from the point over there. Oh God, I'll have to think of her name. But her father was a Native American guy that was one of the first people involved in the city of Bayfield. William Warren's daughter, if you remember the
I
Warren.
never.
name.
Yeah, I never.
She was one of the first teachers at that school out there, and that was in 1873, too, somewhere in there. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, the school had to be there for a long time because I can remember some stories like my on the Peterson side about some of the girls that were going to school there, and Jenny, his up in her 90s right now.
Jenny
So she
Goslin?
went to school there. Yeah, Jenny Goslin.
Yeah.
And she went through school there. in
She's
Markham,
a year younger than my dad, so she was probably born in 1917.
something like
So
that.
she was there in the 20s.
Yeah, and it had to be there long. They had to go to school there before that.
Yeah, I mean that church has been there since 1854.
Yeah.
You know, 1870s anyway.
My mother talked about when the sisters used to go someplace, they had a little horse and a buggy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you're talking quite a while back when they used to do that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, they used to have a little horse and a buggy to go someplace.
first cars didn't get into the area until about 1905.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, when you're talking like that, horse and buggy,
Yeah,
tote trail over from Bayfield to Red Cliff versus a superhighway like it is now.
my mother told me about stories about when during the logging days, her dad was a cook, Mr. Peterson. He was a cook at one of the logging camps. And she said you used to get in a buggy and drive through in the broad daylight. She said it was almost like dark going through these roads. She said it was just covered with how big the trees were.
Yeah.
And she said there was nothing. He said you couldn't even see the sky going out to some of them places where they were cutting.
Yeah. So if he was out in that, you know, it could have been in Jack Mussel's camp, Brigham's
Hard to
camp.
say, I don't know.
There was a
Yeah.
Nelson camp out here. At the turn of the century, my grandfather used to, you know, I've got his crosscut saw at home, and he traded fish for that. You're talking about that. He traded fish for that crosscut saw.
Yeah.
How dumb can you be to want to have one of them in your
Yeah.
hands? But that's the way you made wood in them days.
Right? Like she's talking about barrels of fish and that. I can remember my daddy we always had a cow.
Mm-hmm.
Had to take care of the cow. We had to do the milking, just for milk for the table and that. And always in the wintertime had a barrel of fish. We used to get it from Peterson's. And then they always had a couple of hogs we had to take care of. And like you said, she saved everything but the squeal. I think she had head cheese and everything else they made out of that, bacon, side pork. It was
Mary Jo, as long as we're on schools, tell us a little bit about your earlier days and where you went to school in.
I went the first 2 years to the Catholic school in Bayfield.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, Catholics weren't allowed to ride the buses, public, because it was a public school bus.
Yeah.
So my mother and dad took me, of course they didn't have kindergarten, so it was first and second grade, took me every day. And then when it got to be third grade, then it was too much to go back and forth twice a day, and they were busy and that. So then I went to the public school until I graduated in
Okay.
59.
Okay.
So
Who was your bus driver from on the hill up here? I remember Bill McCarty telling us he used to haul Daryl Barningham and those guys around in the old days.
gosh, I can't remember who it was.
It was probably Iverson's line in those days, I would guess.
Yeah.
Was that before Hadlin was in the business?
I think it was Hadlin.
Could have been.
I think Hadlin knew it, yeah.
It could have been in them days, but
Lindquist, R.E. Lindquist, is that how he, yeah, I mean, he used to be the postman, he used to be a postman,
also he rural delivery.
yeah. And he used to, I always, to catch the bus, I had to walk from our Betzel's driveway down to the corner of J to catch the bus, because they wouldn't go up, you had to be so many yards or whatever for them away from the bus for them to come to past your house.
So you went down to Jimmy's Corner way
No,
down?
no, this corner on Betzel
Or
Road and
Bayfield
J.
Apple Company, yes.
Oh, okay.
So I walked from there, and
Who'd you have as your teachers in school as a kid?
I had Mrs. Wrighton, Mrs. Larson, Eunice Eliason, Ballinger, Cora, Ballinger, Belangi. That was basically it, because some of the times it was 2 classes per room. In high school, I just don't even remember. That's probably why I was having too much fun. I
Yeah.
remember.
Well, in those days, I think, didn't Bob Lynn just suddenly appear?
He came when I was a senior,
Yeah,
and then
that'd be 57.
57. No, I graduated in 59, so he came maybe in 57 or 58. And then what's his name was C.T. Larson
He's
was
there
the
forever.
principal, and then he died the year I think after we graduated, 1960, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
And then we had art. Oh, what's for the art teacher? What's John
Spencer?
Spencer? He was there as the like accounting and
Commercial teacher.
Commercial teacher.
That's what we called it in the 60s.
yeah,
So.
commercial teacher. He was there. Mrs. Maloney.
Yeah,
She
Helen.
was the English department.
You must have had Mrs. Aiken. She was at,
Marion.
yeah, she was at
Did you have her, Bummy?
Yeah, and
No, she.
typing in that.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
that John Spencer must have come, and I didn't have her, but John Spencer came in, and
He must have replaced Marion then.
Yeah.
and
As a teacher.
I'm thinking maybe in the 50s, or no, I would say 50. I went into high school in 55, so maybe that's when he came.
Okay.
And
Who was in your class that you remember? Was Carly Smith and those guys in that
he was a
class?
year ahead of me.
He was a year ahead of you.
So there was, actually of our class, there was 37 that graduated, and I'll bet there's about 25 that live right in the area now.
Pretty good.
I mean, they all in that class came back to Bayfield.
That was 59 you got out,
Mm-hmm.
and Ellen, you got out in 57.
So
Went
like,
to school with Jerry Frizzell, Larry Young,
Okay.
Jim Moran,
Jimmy Moore.
Hang on.
Danny Nurse.
Oh,
Yeah.
those days.
I went to school with him and Sparky Derm. Oh, them two guys. I can remember Sparky.
Oh.
there was Marlene DePerry was one,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was Roberta Paff, Compton, and Donna Galazin, Janet Gustafson, Kenny Hunt, and then Alice Gorman, but she passed away, and George Powers, and he passed away, and Sandy Powers, she passed away. So those, Larry Carlson,
Ronnie Batan in there too?
Ronnie Batan, we called him Grandma. Don't
Grandma.
ask me why. but we did.
Grandma.
And
We won't go there.
no, we won't go there. Then there was a couple others that they just kind of were in the class and then they were gone. Loretta Nurse,
Okay.
Mary Lampa. See if most of all these live around here.
That's
For-
amazing.
It is amazing.
It's probably the only age group that really did.
Stayed or come back.
Yeah.
Most of them stayed, and a few of them have come back quite a while ago. Not just to retire, but they just came back.
Mommy, who was in your class with you then? We'll go over that maybe one more time.
Oh, there was Dick Shovick, Danny Nurse, Mike Moody, Joanne Wallen, Barningham, Paff, what was her? Judy Paff,
Alice Derrigan.
Alice Derrigan, Carol Frizzell. Like I said, there wasn't too many. There's only 16 of us that
Yeah.
graduated from there. And who was the other? I'm trying to think of. Oh, my mind's going. I got that Alzheimer's, slippage.
Yeah.
Senior slippage, it's called.
Yeah. Progressive dementia.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
When what's her name that lived up there by his school she works at. She came from California for a long time. Her dad used to be a mechanic down to Viking Motors.
Abney?
No,
He was there, and there was
who was there?
Nordine.
Nordine.
Joanne Nordine.
Joanne-
Buckshot's daughter.
Right, that was his daughter. And Carol Frizzell, I mentioned her, I think.
Yeah.
Bobby Bear was in
Bob-
ours.
and
Bobby Bear in
Another one
yours.
that's back here. So it's, I would say out of 37, there's probably 25 at least living
You had a
around.
good sized class in that day and age. Well, the teachers in the school when you were there, who were the teachers in those days, Bob?
Oh, we had John Knoxheim was coach. at the time.
Knoxheim?
You don't even remember him, do you?
No, no,
Well,
no. I
he
remember
was-
John Knoxheim.
He came from Superior, and then there was right at the very end. What was his name that used to be down in
Ingstrom or
Engstrom? No,
No,
the other one. They used to live by the hotel down there.
One of them guys, one of those coaches married to an Iverson girl. I think.
Yeah, right. That's the one I'm trying to think of. He was the coach there.
something like Ingstrom. It's Iverson. No,
And then there was a guy from Nemec, Joe Nemec from Ashland. And Mrs. Aiken,
Marion.
yeah. And
Marion Pipple Aiken.
well, and then there was
CT was there, obviously.
yeah, Carl T. Yeah,
Iron Hand.
yeah. He used to frighten you a little bit.
I heard he was tough. You
was
think you
tough.
get away with that stuff nowadays?
Oh, you'd never, ever, ever get away with the stuff that they did to you. One time I was I just plain accident, I knocked the typewriter off the stand and I broke the space bar on it. Well, if you were in basketball, it's about baseball and basketball, that's all we had for sports in them days. And he made me pay for that fix of that typewriter before I could go back to play basketball again. You held that over your head, to get that fixed. So you were running. I said, I wasn't running, I just it fell off the table. Wasn't roughhousing or nothing, but that was the story. That was it. So you had to go with it.
He was a tough cookie.
He was a tough cookie. I see him throw a few guys down the steps that had it coming, but I mean, you wouldn't, like I said, you wouldn't be able to get through with that kind of stuff now. And I don't say any names. He was tough. But he ran the place all by himself too. You got to look at it that way. You didn't have
He was superintendent, principal,
yeah,
guidance counselor, and everything else.
you didn't have all them others along helping you out, and teachers with aides and all that. There was one teacher took care of the whole works.
You remember Mrs. Black as being a cook up there? That's when
Ooh,
they first came up with those hot lunch programs, and we'll get into
Mrs.
that.
Black.
Yeah,
Mrs. Black and Hulda Chapey.
Yeah,
And then Mrs. Ryan came in,
Mrs.
and she
Ryan
worked
came.
few years.
That was the beginning of the real hot lunch
Right.
programs,
Yeah, right.
in that period.
It started in 47, I believe,
Could
or
be.
something in that, where they started getting subsidized. for the
Yeah.
hot lunch.
come by there. Luck.
Yeah. Wow.
It's good. Good.
I
That was
remember
good food.
my days, and of course you guys continued it on later, but I can remember Mrs. Leafblad
Yeah.
and Signe Carlson, and a little bit later Mrs. Milligan. Baking the bread and all that stuff was the most wonderful
Well,
dining facility in
That's
America.
when she took off. She took over from Mrs. Leafland.
So yeah,
27 years.
27 years of
Now,
this.
when did you start?
I started in 81. I started in 1981 and I retired. Well, it'll be just 2 years ago.
Is that right?
So I had
Oh, really?
27 years as being. I worked 2 years with Mrs. Leafblad, and then she never had anything on paper for recipes.
Mm-hmm.
So for the year after I knew that maybe I'd be taking over her job, I walked and I wrote everything down that she did.
Mm-hmm.
How to do it and what went into it. So then I used that after she left.
For the record, Mary Jo's was employed by the school district of Bayfield for all those years, and she was the head of the whole lunch program up there.
Yeah.
So what was the job?
It was everything. I did the menus, I did the ordering, and I did the main cooking of the meal, and I served it. And then the other person was Pat Farrell. Her and I worked together, and then she would bring in doing the salads and the prep work and cookies and stuff, and then serve. And then we had a dishwasher that did the dishes and
In
made
those
the
days?
bread.
And who was that in those days?
Jeanette Hoopman's been doing it for about 20 years now.
Okay.
So she does the bread and does the dishes, and that's how. So it's
That's quite
Well,
a
it's gotten to be quite a bit different when you first started too, because now there's all kinds of federal influences, and you have to meet the pyramid. The
it
health.
started. It was always there that we had guidelines. We always had guidelines to do,
Okay.
but they're emphasizing more now with the fresh fruit and vegetables and more of a diet. But they don't realize either that when you're under a school program, you're bound by what you get from commodities from the government.
Yeah.
So they're probably changing a lot of theirs too now.
What commodities did you used to get? I'm asking because my mother was the head of the hot lunch program in this little town in North Dakota I grew up in. Remember these big number 10 cans? Came
That's
with
what we got.
all kinds of stuff and cheese.
That's what we had. Basically, it used to be lots and lots of cheese and hamburger, and it was turkeys, and nothing for fast food back in the early days. And then canned beef and canned pork. Then as the years rolled on, towards the last 10 years that I was there, then they started getting into the chicken nuggets and some of these the kids like the chicken nuggets and the
Pizza.
No, we never got pizza.
Didn't you?
No, and chicken.
I
stuff that
remember
was prepared.
on Fridays when I was in school, you'd always get those fish strip, those
Fish
like-
sticks.
and you always got 3. And if you're really well behaved, you could go back and get one more. That type
That
of
was
thing.
a serving. Is 3 is a serving, and of course, we never went by the actual serving because it looked so pathetic.
Yeah,
And they would look at you, and I'd say, okay, we are going to give 4 today
Yeah.
because you're a little older.
yeah.
But kids didn't realize that you are under a budget and you just can't give them as much as they want. But
I don't know if people ever realize how important those lunch programs are too. There are some school districts just don't really do much with it.
Right.
But I can remember how hungry I'd get at 9:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
10 o'clock, and I could smell that food down in the basement. You know what it was, in those days it was down.
it was down in the basement. I remember the first I had gone to Mrs. Leafblad, and that was probably in 78 or so. Yeah, 79, asking if there was any work. And she said, well, we can use a sub, and I said, oh, okay, well, just put me down. So it wasn't more than a week or two later, and she called me and she said, well, Betty Morin has got to be gone. Her son is not well, and could you come in? And I said, oh, sure, I can come in. Well, I went in, and that morning she said, well, you're going to make bread. And I looked at her and I says, make bread? Well, you got a kettle that holds 50 pounds of flour.
Who's gonna mix that for me?
And so she kind of showed me, but as I realized when I was working, you don't have the time to sit there and step by step. You just kind of say, well, here. And so I did it, and it was okay. I mean, they said it was okay. I don't remember. But then the next day I came in, and she always told me, she says, now remember, don't turn on that mixer when there's just flour and stuff in there, because it'll poof. Well, I did turn it on, and I had flour over everything. But that's how I learned. I mean, I went from making the bread, and I did every aspect until I went into her position.
What year did you go into that position then?
81.
81.
Talking about making bread, I can remember when we first got married and she made bread. Her mother was an excellent bread maker. Anyway, she had the loaves of bread there when I came home from work, and I looked, oh man, my homemade bread today. Well, you couldn't hardly slice them.
It was so.
You could have threw
Oh, my gosh.
we lived upstairs in an apartment when we first got married. You could threw the bed out on the sidewalk, and I think you'd have broke the
Shoe
sidewalk.
leather crust
So
on it.
then I had to go home,
Oh,
and I went home then the next time, and I had my mother show me step by step how to make bread. So then
No, she's excellent.
we'll be married
Wow.
50 years now in April.
Wow.
So
Long time.
So, Bummy, you're a pretty young guy, and you're just getting out of the 8th grade, and you're coming to the Bayfield schools, and you've got through that whole experience. What are you doing at like the time you're 19 years old? And bring us up to date. What you were?
What we did,
Yeah. What?
you want to know?
Well.
Oh, it wasn't nothing to go from 8th grade into the public school because I knew all the guys, that we were, Jim Morin and Jerry Fizell and Kenny and everybody that was in town.
Okay.
I knew them all. It was no big transaction to get into go to school with them. I don't know what we did. We worked all summer. Everybody had to work, find a job doing. We did a lot of bean picking and working in the farms. I worked at Torbeck's farm for I don't know how many years I worked up there for
You're
John.
a pretty young kid
John
off and
Torbeck.
on.
Yeah, you know, all through school I'd work on, after schools I'd go up there during apple season. I worked in the summer up there on the berry fields and things like that for John
You
Torbeck.
basically grew up on
Yeah,
a farm.
yeah, right. And then later, my dad worked for Consolidated Power Paper Company. He used to haul the logs across Lake Superior in them rafts.
What was the name of the boat?
Yeah, Timberland.
Timberland.
And then
That was the tender.
yeah, and then after when the big one was the Butterfield. Well, then they sold that one, and then later on they got another one in there.
That was the John Roan the Third. Do you remember the John Roan?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
the Timberland still a tender
Tender,
then?
and then after a while they got smaller rafts, and my dad would haul them down, pull them up in the Grand Marais and that thing. He worked there for, what was it, 37 years. Never missed a day of work.
I remember Bucky Batan saying
Yeah.
that he worked with him on the Timberland.
Yeah.
Him and Elvis Moe
Yeah,
and others,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Alan Weborg worked for him.
Oh, was
He
that
worked
right?
on the deckhand for him.
What did the buoy tender do in those days?
They just hooked onto it in the back, and they kept up the same speed as the tug would, and then they kept a kind of little strain on it, so the raft wouldn't swing. My dad said at a certain speed, especially if it got rough out, and that you went to a certain speed, if you went any faster, he said the logs would act just like a herd of sheep. He said once one started going under the boom, he said the whole thing would go.
Follow it out.
Yeah, just follow
And
it
break
out.
away from the boom.
Right. You'd lose all your pulp.
For the record and for the people in the future, tell us a little bit about what the boom looked like.
The booms they were probably logs in diameter this big around, and then they were on the end they were chopped down, and then they were split off like that, and then they had a maple, a big block about this big like that, and then they had a hole drilled through the big log by itself, and then the chain would come up and go over that block, that hardwood block, that maple block, and then you'd hook the other one like that. It just kept going, and they just kept making like a big circle with those big logs like that. Then they dumped all the pulp. They used to use 2 tugs up in Grand Marais and up into Canada. They'd come right up to the shore, and they'd push all them big logs off them cliffs, and they'd go down, and that's where they would catch them like that, and then rip them up.
And
like
they
that.
brought them from
Canada. They brought them from up in Sugarloaf, up into Grand Marais. That was big for a lot of years like that. They hauled all down. Bought spruce, balsam, and he said the worst one to haul was the birch, heavy. He said they would go down really. I worked over there. He got me a job working in the pockets up there. You know, when we used to load they had 2 big. They had 2 pockets on each side. They had a big chain with some things sticking up, and then the guys down on the docks down there, the 2 had things go out, and they would line these logs all up, then they'd pull them down with pike poles. The guys that worked there. Then this chain kept going around, and they would bring them up, and then they'd drop into this pocket. You just kept leaving the cable down, so you'd get maybe, I don't know how many cords of wood in there, pulpwood cords, and then the guy would swing the boom over, and then you'd get the chain, and the one guy on each side, you'd wrap it and hook it, and he'd pick it up and then put it into boxcars.
Wow.
You did that all day.
How many horsepower in the lakes or in the John Rowan and the Butterfield?
Oh,
Do you ever remember him telling you that?
He never.
They were big
It was
boats.
big boats, yeah. There was some big boats in there.
70 footers maybe.
Yeah,
I can
Where
remember.
was all the logs destined for? Where did they go?
they were taking them down to Wisconsin Rapids. They had a big paper company down there. They worked there. My dad got sick out on the lake. He had a appendicitis attack, and his appendix broke before he got in. And back in them days, they never had medicine like you had now. And he was going to retire that fall. He was 62, and he lived 2 days after that, and he died.
What year was that now again?
That was in 60.
1960.
Yeah. he was going to retire. That was going to be his retirement. He was going to quit. He quit. That was it.
That was for Consolidated Paper Company.
Right.
The Wisconsin Rapids.
Yeah, it was the same company he worked for all those years.
For 30 some years.
37 years. Never missed one day
So
when they were
60,
working.
so he's working for them in the 20s.
Yeah.
23 somewhere in there.
He ran
Was he? Did he always run a tender then, or?
that little, he used to work right down in the bay down there. You used to see it. There was just a little white tug that used to run around, and they used to hook up the booms, and then they'd go out like that in a single boom, and then they'd come all the way around. Then they'd hook them together. Then they'd pull the logs into where they were loading like that. They'd get so many of them. Then they need to kind of watch and see when they needed more. They'd go out. They always had work to be doing all the time. One guys used to run them booms. My dad had a bum leg. He broke his hip when he was a young kid, just a young kid, and he had one leg was shorter than the other, and he had one shoe that was built up on his heel all the time, you know. And you'd be surprised how he used to run those booms and that with that one shorter leg and the big heel. He got around good with it.
For how fast would the Butterfield pull a toll like that? How long would it take to get from Sugar Camp
to Ashland?
Yeah,
Oh, they'd go 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, he said sometimes you'd be you'd all depend on the weather,
Yeah.
which way your wind was going. He said if you got in a big storm, you just kind of held your own. You just stayed
You
there.
put your nose into it and-
Sometimes you're going backwards, he said. You know, you didn't want to pull too hard. If you pull too hard, like he said, you'd start losing.
Everything would
Yes,
go
it'd
under
go
the
down there,
boom in the back then.
Right.
It'd roll under instead of roll over.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over. It'd go down underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some big logs, man. There was some big stuff.
Well, my dad always tells it was a real fortunate deal for them at Stockton Island in the old days, because a lot of those booms would spit out some logs and they'd pick
Oh.
them up on the beach there
Yeah.
and stuff like that, use them for firewood.
I think a lot of guys picked up a lot of stuff. There was some guys used to run around and pick them up and bring them in and sell them on there.
Wonder how many cords they'd haul in one of those
Ooh,
booms.
I don't know. There was
1,000
some
cord or
big amount. There was some big rafts.
yeah.
I know the island and the ferries used to have to go all the way around it all the time, and they'd get in the middle there.
I was in my speedboat, and I think it was 1975. It was the last trip Consolidated made, and that was with the lakes. It was a tug to John Roan III. I got photos of it at home
Yeah.
as she went by, because slides of it. That was the last boom detail.
Yeah. Then they
company.
start going pretty much more with rail at that time, and then they made a couple of paper company or made some paper companies up there that they called to a lot of things too.
Yeah, those are a different period of time. Reason I stress it so much here is I want people to see what it was like, you know.
Yeah.
How many guys were on the Butterfield and on the John Roan?
Robbie, we gotta take a.
I remember yesterday.
You can't remember
Pretty well,
any.
he said. I can remember some of the things yesterday. Ready to go?
Yeah.
We're just finishing up a little bit on the tugs and transport boats that work for Consolidated Paper, and your dad played a big role in that for 37 years. But I'm wondering, what type of money did a buoy tender guy make in that period of time? Do you remember him saying, "Here's the paycheck, Ma," that type of thing? Or?
All I did is see him give the check to Ma. I mean, I never really asked what he was making. I never knew what he was making. I never knew I know he got his bills paid.
Those are pretty doggone good jobs in those
Yeah,
days, though.
really.
I mean,
I'll tell you, when you had 9 kids in the family, when you were all sitting, that was quite a deal too. When we used to sit down to eat, we all sat in one place. Out of 9 kids, 5 of us were left-handed.
is that
And we
right?
all sat on one side of the table. And another thing we never did is never let the bowl go by you, because it wasn't coming back.
Oh, yeah. Boy, you grab that extra chicken leg when it
Right,
went
no
by.
matter what it was, you never let the bowl go by.
On finishing up on the boom series here. What kind of food when they eat? Did they transport food out to the
No, they did their own
Butterfield,
cooking.
or they did their own
Yeah,
cooking?
they had a cook on there. I think they had at least 10 guys on that thing.
On the Roan or the Butterfield?
Yeah, the Butterfield was the biggest one they had there. That one's still down in Michigan, or
Is she still going?
yeah, it's still going someplace.
They had those big Atlas or Fairbanks Morris engines in them, and
Yeah, there was
they
some
were
big
like
times.
5,000
My
horse.
brother Dan, he lives in Duluth now. He sailed on there for, I think he had 2-3 years on there, and then he went sailing on ore carriers, and he just retired. Maybe, well, time goes by so fast. Maybe 4 years ago, had 42 years of sailing. That's a long time on an ore
That's a
carrier
long
like
time. Who do you sail for?
that. Pittsburgh, the
Pittsburgh.
whole thing, all the time. Yeah.
They own.
I know there was a guy was talking to Jimmy Edwards. He was sailing, and he said, "You know that Dan Rabideaux from Bayfield?" He said, "Yeah." He said, He thinks owns these damn boats." He said, but anyway, he sailed for 40 some years. I sailed for 3 years, and I quit. I couldn't take that. It was like being in jail. You know,
Yeah.
you got off your watch, you were still out there. You had to stay there.
Were you married then?
No.
So-
We got married in 1960, and then, I was working. They had in '59. They had a big steel strike, and that was a long one. That really took a toll on the whole deal. And I said, "This is a good time to get out of the sailing," you know. So I went down to American Motors, down in Kenosha. They were hiring. They were going right around the clock making cars at that time. So I went down there and I had an interview and talked to the guy. And he says, "We'll let you know. We'll write you a letter, let you know if we need anybody." I said, "Well, don't break your arm writing. I'm looking for a job." He said, "You really want to go to work, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, can you start the night shift?" I said, "You bet." I got on that night, on the night shift. Worked there for 7-8 years. Then we got married in '60, and then we lived down in Kenosha. We had my oldest daughter, Denise, and my oldest son, Edward. They were both born down in Kenosha.
What year were they born?
Ed was born in, Denise was born in
61,
161, and Ed was born
63.
63.
Okay, so that's where you're at that period in time then.
Yeah, we lived there. It was a tough town, you know, and you got a big industry like that. You get people from all over. It was rough. I didn't want to bring up a family there. Then I got a chance to buy this place, and we jumped at it. And we moved back up here.
What year did you get back then? 60?
That was '64 when we came up here, and we got back. And then I went to work for her dad up on Betzel's there, and then that's when we got into all the apples and stuff like that, the canning and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
a big step.
I took care of all the fields and the work, all the people. We used to take a bus, go out and pick up berry pickers and rhubarb pickers.
I remember those days.
We bought an old bus from Catholic Church down there, about a 54 passenger. You know, I never could figure out why the state, they made you take the seats out, you know, they were in a bus like that. They made you go a long ways with them, you know, around the side, and had to throw half the bus out. Well, I couldn't believe that. I mean, God, you got an accident, everybody's just going to slide
Yeah,
right
ships
up
and go
in front of you.
forward.
Yeah, it makes sense. I always thought about that. Well, if you would have gotten an accident, you could have been in some. The insurance on them things was really high too.
So did old Shugo give you a pretty good deal on the farm here? How many
Ooh,
acres
we
did
were
you
just
get?
talking about that today. I said I paid more money for my pickup than what I bought for this whole place.
There's 37, well, 38 acres.
I tell you what I paid for it. I paid $10,000 for the whole place
Is that,
at 3% interest. So you couldn't beat that with his club.
he really wants to sell.
That's
Wow.
what interest was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what
Then
things
right
were
after
going
that,
for.
it just started going up.
Well, you were pretty young, both of you, at that time.
Yeah.
That still
I
was,
got- I
that
got
still was
married
quite a
when
It
lot
was
of money.
still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Big money.
Ooh, it was tough. We had a hard time to, you know.
Yeah, you had to
time
move a
about-
lot of strawberries through those fields to,
Yeah.
to get it all done.
Yeah, I was 23 when I got married. My oldest son was 23, John was 23, and Michael was 23. All of my kids are 23.
It's all called a coincidence, or they're
Yeah,
all
just a
coached
bit.
one or the other.
Coincidence.
Yeah, he said, "I'm going to get married." I said, "You got about 3 or 4 hours. I'll tell you about being married." You know?
Remember old
How
Tommy
did
Thompson?
you guys meet? Did we hear that?
We went to school together. I mean, we were in the same school, and I don't know.
Did
you date in high school,
You
or-
dated
Yeah,
in high school?
right.
Yeah.
We
It was
dated
just
three,
getting over
4
it.
years, and then we got married. So
Once you
High school.
graduated.
right, I was
Yeah.
19.
Robbed the cradle.
Yeah, in those days. I went to Minneapolis and I went to school a little bit, a secretarial school, and then I got a job for 2-3 months, and then we got married in April,
April of
1960.
1960. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Kenosha, did you also do work at something, or you were raising the kids?
No, I worked a little bit in a drugstore clerking and that, and then I got pregnant right away, so no, I didn't.
Was there any money to be made working for American Motors, or?
You could make money what you wanted there. We were working right around the clock. You could work every Saturday if you wanted. You could put in all the overtime you wanted, really. It was just, but after you got to a certain point, they took everything out in taxes. You didn't make
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah,
I
same
can
as
remember him making $100 a week, clear home, and that was a lot of money.
big
Big money.
That was big money.
Then I went to work in the evenings for a turkey farm, doing at around Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used to butcher turkeys.
Oh god.
Oh God, that was something. That was quite a deal. Oh, the farm, Hawkeye Turkey Farm. I still remember the place. I used to butcher a couple hundred turkeys a night.
Jeez.
Yeah, had a kind of a conveyor. He'd come down. Guy would be up in front. He'd hook them turkeys on this conveyor by their feet, and another guy had an electric knife. He'd tickle them right here underneath the throat with that electric knife, and all the feathers would stick up. You know, like you see turkey strutting. They'd just all come out like that. And he'd just give them a little slice and go
Down the
down.
road they go.
Yeah, it kept going all the way around. Had a lot of people working there.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Good little
So you were
job.
doing double shifts then?
Yeah, then I was working on the daytime shifts.
Yeah.
What the major move to come home was just didn't want your kids to be raised up in that
He
environment.
wanted to be able to hunt.
Oh, now the truth comes
That's the
out.
bottom line.
All
He
right.
wanted to
We
be back in
now
the
know.
woods to
My
hunt and fish.
Biggest, it's just like you went to a drag out so in the fall of the year when you came in, there was nothing. You know, I was raised and born up here, and I loved out in the woods. I loved it. Fall of the year is the best time of the year up here. You know, you're hunting and fishing and stuff.
Well, it's a nice blend for you. 'Cause you're in the apple industry. You're picking apples, and you can hunt and fish and
Yeah.
go forward.
When we used to put up all those apples, I even made them quit processing during deer season.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of clout in that deal.
Yeah, all right. But I think they were ready for a break too. Then at that time,
Well, everybody
for
was
a
kind
couple
of
weeks. Yeah.
How about Mr. Betzel? Was he kind of look funny at you when you want to go hunting? Did he hunt too, or?
No, he never did. No. Gene wasn't much of a hunter either. He went he went out in the back up here. He never went nowhere like that. I remember when the boys start hunting, and I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and Mary'd get up and make 3 of us breakfast, and we'd go all the way out to Herbster,
Oh.
out on Lenway Road. And we used to go hunting out there. And one day I said, you know, I'm going to build a cabin out there. She said, that's a damn good idea. She said, I'll help you.
Then you can make your own breakfast at 4 in the morning.
And we
Yes.
did. We did a nice little cabin out there.
Yeah, you and Hepner were involved in that, and
Bill Hepner.
yeah,
He was a crackerjack of a guy, Bill.
yeah.
You know Bill.
We'll get into that volunteer fire department, and I remember being on there
Yeah.
with you years ago and stuff.
I was on there for 23 years.
Yeah.
Volunteer. Then I cut my leg with a chainsaw right across the knee, down just bottom of the knee, right across. I cut my leg off, and then I healed up. And then I retired from the Bayfield. I didn't want to get somebody else in trouble. I couldn't bend my leg very well, and then you're just asking for trouble.
You just weren't quite as mobile as you
Right,
used to be.
right. So then I retired from that. But I hunted with old Bill for 32 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
He took care of his boys, and I took care of mine. We went through the whole thing with him.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun out there.
Did you hunt ducks with him and stuff too, or? I know he loved to hunt ducks.
Yeah, I went a few times. I wasn't much of a duck hunter.
Yeah. But the deer hunt, that was the big thing.
Yeah. Then he used to come and take Ed, my oldest son, and pick him up, and then he'd go take him when he used to trap beaver and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he was quite a guy.
He was really a handy guy.
Oh,
I can remember when we were building our cabin out there, we were adding on it one day. He stopped and he hollered down, "Rabideaux!" I said, "What?" He says, "Put that hammer down before you hurt somebody." I was left-handed and everything was backwards, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
And our kids all, well, the two boys and him, they all trapped back in the days when there was a lot of money for
we was,
fox and
the highest I can remember getting for a red fox was like $105 for a pelt.
For one pelt.
Yeah, that was some good back in the 70s, late 70s.
How many traps did you run in those days?
Ooh, I still got a whole mess of them up in the garage. I don't know what I'm doing with them. But we used to run 50 to 60 traps. Then the boys had
You and Bill, or just you guys alone?
just me and my kids.
Okay, where'd you trap? Like the Sand
trapped
River? Or?
We trapped all over here, all over the hill. There's a lot of fox up here,
Yeah.
all over. It got to be pretty good. My son John was really good at it. He did pretty good. Got to know how to set a fox trap. You'd put the dirt hole set, they call it. You'd dig a little hole and put some bait in there and some scent. Then you'd put one trap down here. Then you'd put another one over farther, just back a little way. So sometimes the fox would come and he'd go, they usually go around or something. He'd get caught in one, and by the time he tried to get out of it, he'd get caught in the other one too. So you had him.
Oh, you had double hold on him.
Yeah. Well, we caught a lot they caught a lot of beaver, muskrats, all that kind of coyotes.
Okay.
You used to get $75-$80 for coyote.
Really?
my basement would be in the fall. Hard to believe that I allowed this. But it used to be all hanging all the way around the basement.
Critters.
This whole, critters. And I think,
Well,
when I think about
you
it
had
now,
to stretch them,
stretch them and get them.
Salt them down a little bit?
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about that process, Bunny. What you do when you caught one, obviously.
Well, the fox you'd take and you had a wire stretcher that was out, and you scun you clean them out. You scun them you'd cut up the back legs, then around the tail, then you'd pull the carcass off of them right down to the head. You had to be real careful to get the ears and the nose and everything. You just scun them right out. Then you turn them inside out, and you put them on that stretcher. Then you pull that stretcher as far as you can get it, and then it had 2 hooks on it, and it would hook on the end. That would hold them there.
Okay.
Then you had to flesh them. If you had anything left on them, you had to scrape them and get them real
Clean it up good.
Right. And then after so many days, then you'd take them off of that, and then you'd turn them back out with the fur side out.
Oh.
Then you had to groom them. You had to brush them down and get all the thistles and everything else out that was with them, and
Okay.
get more good money for them.
Where'd you sell them? Who'd you sell them to?
I used to sell to a guy come down. His name was John Pierre. What was his last name? Dingers or something like that.
Okay.
He come down from up in Hudson Bay.
Oh,
He used to come
really?
down, yeah. He'd send you a card and tell you when he was going to. He'd come to Ashland, go through all your pelts and all this and that. They always tried to do you down,
Of course, that was the way they did that same business in the 1850s.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, from Hudson Bay or something like that. Part of the
Yeah,
American
right.
Fur, Hudson Bay Fur Company.
And Bill, I couldn't spell Billy up there that time. I went with him. I kind of got what Bill was going through. I kind of copied what he did quite a bit. I learned
got a feel for dealing with
I learned
them?
a lot of stuff from him. He went over and he showed him all the pelts and this guy, and he said, "Give him an offer." And Bill said, "No, hell," he says. He started picking up his pelts and putting them in, and he said, "Well, what do you want for him, Bill?" He said, "Well, a hell of a lot more than you're offering me." And my guy, he got it what he was asking for him after a while.
Huh.
Yeah, you had to get kind of tough with him.
That was your job to sell them high. It was his job to buy them low.
You
And
ever heard
somewhere
that?
between you met.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they did. Then when they come out with when they started those Fisher, after they finally got going with them, those were pretty good too. First ones we ever caught, we got $250 a piece for them, female. Then the males, they didn't really care. They had more of a coarse hair, very
Yeah.
long.
Not as nice
They
a
get
product.
$45-$50 for them.
What about lynx and bobcats and stuff? Did
We
you?
never got it. We never got any of those. They're pretty scarce. There not too many of them around.
Yeah.
Even today, you got to be pretty good to get bobcat and that.
I had one laying near my well the other day, sitting there watching the squirrels and the bird
Is
feeder.
that right?
I don't know how tough they'd be together. I looked at that.
What was it?
One of the bobcats.
Really?
Laying right there like this, watching the squirrels go to the tree to the bird feeder.
But we caught a few otter. Got a few of those. Had lots of coons. We had a lot of coon. I'll tell you a story. One time I was going out to Red Cliff on the reservation out there, and I went down the Raspberry River, and it wasn't in the fall of the year. It wasn't much bigger than this table wide, and I had hip boots on, and I'm going down, and I was making sets on the side of the banks for coon. They were very easy to catch, and then I come to around the corner, and I could see where this coyote would come in. He'd jump off of the bank onto this little sand pocket, and he'd land in the same spot all the time. So I said, "Oh, I'm going to leave a trap in here." So I put one in there and covered it up with the sand, and you had a real long drag on it. You know, you had a big drag so they'd get catching all the brush and that. They wouldn't go too far. Well, the next evening, I'd always check my traps in the evening. I come down right through the creek walking in hip boots, and I got to the corner and I could hear this chain making noise, jingling, you know, and I thought, man, I caught that coyote already. I come around the corner and I look, and there's a little cub bear stuck in that trap. I just had him by the end of the toes like that. Oh, and he seen me and he started crying, and just like the woods came alive.
Ooh.
Down the hill come the mother, and her ears were just right back on her head, and her teeth were just clicking like that, you know.
She was saying,
And I took off running, and there was a balsam tree about this big around. I had hip boots on it. I went right to the top of that thing, and how I got up there, I don't know. That mother bear would come over to the tree, and she'd get up and she'd push on that tree like that, and it would just rock back and forth like that. I'm holding on. She kept me up there for a half hour. Finally got real quiet, and I busted up some branches and made some noise and everything. She never come back. So,
did she get her youngin?
uh-huh.
Did she get her youngin then, or?
Yeah, they got trapped. I never did find the trap. I never caught nothing. I mean, you know, I never found it.
They pulled the trap out of the
She
ground?
had to, because there's no way she was going to go through that. It was just like jungle down there.
Yeah.
There was no way. And the big drags, they never had. It was just caught by the end of her toes like that, you know, and
probably
then
just
they
loosened.
pulled it out. Most likely when
First
she came
stump
in.
she hit, they probably came out.
But I'll tell you, that was something. And that tree would rock. She'd go away, come back, push on it, go
Wanted
away,
you
come
down,
back.
we're gonna handle you right then and there. You're lucky it wasn't a bigger tree, because she'd
Oh,
have probably come up a bigger tree.
Yeah, right. And after I come back the next day and looked, I thought, how did you get up that tree? It was just unbelievable how you called up that tree like
You
that.
didn't have a gun with you or anything?
Hmm?
You didn't have any gun with you?
I had a little .22 pistol, and I wasn't going to shoot her with that because I figured
Then you
then
really
you'd
took her off.
get her mad, you know.
Oh,
But it was just like the woods exploded when she come down that bank.
you spent a lot of time fishing. I know sport fishing, and I don't know so much about commercial fishing, but I imagine like any other kid in the area, you must have picked a few fish in the fall of the year.
Oh yeah, worked for Henry Johnson.
Little
I
Henry.
used to pull out of the boat, you know,
Yeah.
pull the nets up out of the boat up onto the table.
Mhm.
And he used to give me a few extra bucks all the time for doing that, because that was pretty hard on the, you know, I was going to
Heavy
school.
work.
Yeah. Well, that herring fishing, that was a big deal in our day when you used to do a lot. My mother worked in the fishing. My dad worked for LaPointe Brothers.
Did he?
Worked on they called them the coffin dodgers. He used to work on the Chinook and that.
Oh God. The points boat there. The Seabird and the Chinook.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how them guys used to bring in 8, 9, 10 ton of fish on them things. Just, God, they were that far up above the gunnels on them things.
It took a lot of
That's a lot
chances.
of hens. Yeah, you bet they did.
Did you get involved in that at all, or
No.
you were up canning?
Luckily
boy,
for me, I
That
stayed
was
up
some-
on the farm.
That was
Yeah.
a big help right around Christmas time and that for parents. And
Well, I imagine if you had nine
Yeah.
Rabideaux kids out there, all of them got into that.
they all got into that, yeah.
Yeah.
They all fished in that. Yeah. My
Picking
brother Dan,
fish.
he used to go on a boat. I went out once with Cubby LaBelle, and I thought I was going to die, and after a while I wished I would have. Oh, did I get sick.
On the Fair Lady?
Yeah. It was just unbelievable how sick I got.
Yeah.
Angus Defoe and another guy threw me up on a dock in a fish box when I come in the store.
Angus Defoe, how well I remember him.
There was something there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he was
oh,
something
Angus.
Wonder-
Never mind, Sonny. He said, just suck on this lemon for a little while. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
Eat some crackers and suck on the lemon.
This old George's brother and
Well, he's the one that got me sick to start with. He took his old, in them boats they had them little heaters in there, and he'd grab a old wet, stinky fish slime on your gloves and then put your hand on the stovepipe. Oh, stink.
Oh,
and you're enclosed in there too.
Yeah,
That was on the Fair
right,
Lady.
Yeah. I never went out there again.
I know you spent a lot of time trolling and stuff. Can you tell us? You've been around, you probably got as much knowledge of the islands where to catch fish as any commercial fisherman ever
I
has.
commercial fish too in the wintertime.
Did
That's
you?
on the ice.
With
yeah.
the ice. Okay,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. And who you worked with and.
Yeah, we worked. I got through I did on my own. I was, we got through the reservation. We had license from out there. I used to run 20 nets, 15, 20 nets at a time. Went out up either in the Madeleine, in between Madeleine, depending how your ice was. Fished down here in the bay a few times. Now it's all closed off area. I don't know. I think it's like anything else. After a while, it's all dependent on the price of fish. And I know a lot of times my hired man made more money than I did.
Market driven by
Yeah,
the
it
time you
just
get
fall
on the
apart.
reels.
Yeah, and man, you're jumping out there sometimes on cakes to get the ice, the nets out before the ice went out. Come back and you get 40 cents a pound. Yeah, well, what are you doing out there? Yeah, it wasn't.
Doesn't make any sense at all, but
Yeah, we did a lot of trolling. Had a boat, and we used to go to all around the island. I went out to Oak quite a bit. I liked that. Oak Island was good.
where'd
fishing.
where do you fish on the island?
Right off them clay banks, straight up off of that, and then go towards outer.
Hole in the rock
Harbor,
there, or did you
yeah.
go towards? Did you go right towards Harvard or the hole in the rock?
We went up to the hole in the rock, then we went out, swung around the other way.
You get any fish in that bay? I can never catch a fish in that bay
We
ever.
got some beauties in there. Chucky Myers and I went one day, and we had the skis out, in the early, when the ice went out. And we got one side up, and we couldn't get the other side out. There was so many fish biting.
Yeah.
They just kept going and going. And there's a lot of days we fished all day and never had nothing.
Yeah. That's why they call it fishing.
Then we went out to
catching.
Outer Island, and we fished out there. Went out to Cat. There was one spot in Cat I liked. You went alongside of that, and then you'd make that one circle, and it was just like a big hole, a big basin down there. Every time we made that one turn, we always hook on a couple of fish.
On the north side or the
Yeah, right off of the north end, where
up towards Brownstone, or are you
Brownstone,
talking
or
about-
you come off of Brownstone, and then you go towards like that, right in the middle, almost like that. Then you'd come all the way back, and go down and make the same circle come out. I just sold my boat the other day. To a
Did
guy
you
from-
really?
Yeah.
Who bought that from you?
Some guy from down by Muckwa down in that area. He's got a guy by the name of Tudor. He got two young boys, about 18, 17.
So it sounds like you're out of the trolling business. What brought that on?
Couldn't get it in the boat anymore.
Oh, jeez, don't get.
What was the name of the boat?
Drift away.
That's a pretty
My
nice
other
little
one,
boat.
the other one I had was called Bajol.
But Joel?
That she,
I couldn't say Mary Jo, and I used to call myself the Joe.
so I called it the Bajol.
Oh,
Yeah, I bought a boat from they call him Red Anderson in that Washburn. He's an older guy, and then it was a nice boat. I liked it. It was deep. It was Starcraft, and I get to the point it was tough to get in and out. When you
From the
get
dock to
off
the
the
boat, you
dock
mean?
and stuff like that. To jump in there and can't jump like I used
you're
to.
gonna have to have your wife buy you a nicer, larger boat where you can have a
No,
ladder
I haven't
system.
done. I'll go down to Badine's and buy fish.
Probably save yourself a pile of money.
Yeah, you will.
But I know that once, kind of like me, I love just being out there and
I did a lot, quite a bit of bobbing. We went this year. Boy, it was tough this year. They got nothing. Had one fish all winter.
Kenny Hunt told me he said he never caught a fish all winter.
Yeah.
Every time he went out, he got skunked. He said the last time he says I'm going out, he says I'm bringing a radio and a jug. He said
No.
so I can have a
I
little.
sat there a lot of days. Sat there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2:30, and not even a bite.
I wonder
In
why.
good places where we fished.
Nobody got any this year.
Nobody did nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know what it
that's
is.
strange.
Yeah.
Because I remember them telling me that at Bass Island, where you guys bobbed in around there, Kenny Hunt told me one time he got like 15 to 20 whitefish one day or
Yeah.
something like that.
Jimmy Edwards and I caught 29 one day.
Did you really?
Yeah, just with a little silver spoon, and just cut the head off a minnow and hang the head on one treble hook.
Huh.
Sit there, and the first time I always fished outside, and Jimmy was fishing inside, and he come out and got me. And we, he said, I don't have another good rod and reel. He said, but I got one of my grandkids' rod here, one of them little Snoopy poles, with a little reel. So I'm fishing there, and I'm fishing like that. And we got 20 some fish laying on the ice, and here comes a guy along. And he stopped and he said, holy man. He said, you guys mind if I fish here with you? And hear him catching it. And I said, no, there's a lot of water. I said, chop a hole. He got drilled a hole, and he couldn't catch nothing. And I was sitting there at that little Snoopy pole, it was blue and all colored up for a kid, and hooking on like that. And he had that nice rod and reel, and he couldn't catch nothing. He just said, the hell with it. He threw all the stuff in it and put it in his machine, and away he went.
Saw you with that Snoopy.
Jimmy still talks about that.
Yeah, that's
that
a good
Snoopy
story.
pole. Yeah, we had 29 whitefish that day. Unbelievable.
Nice ones.
That was the first one we first started. Yeah, beautiful. And we first started. Not then after
So
that.
it's almost like a box of fish.
Then they started putting what was it, 25 plus 1 or something like that. But that's DNR started putting a thing on it. That was before they come out with that.
Did you ever get any hassle from the DNR with your your native fishing license and
There's
things
a
like
couple
that?
times there's guys that would get more than come out and they want to look at your fish, and I was just ready one time to come out. They would come off the ice, and I had my sleighs on there, and I had all my fish. Had 6 boxes of fish, all covered up with a canvas and put on there. And I was just ready to go, and along come the game warden, and they said, we want to check your fish. I said, well, there they are. I said, what can I say? Go ahead. They dumped out every one, on the standing there. And he says, okay. He said, they're all fine. I said, well, what did you think you're going to find? He didn't say nothing. And he said, okay. He said, you can put. I said, not me. I said, you dumped them out. Now you put them back in a box, put them back on the sleigh, put the canvas on, and put it down like you found it. My God, they did. They had them nice tin slip gloves, Oh, all the slime was sliming off. But they didn't bother with me after that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, there was a lot of times that they would come out and check in. And it wasn't quite so bad at the end, but when you first started, it got quite bad. I think a lot of it was just more of a harassment deal than anything. After it got over the thing about fishing, and after
what years were you fishing out there? This has been just fairly recently. That I don't know what year you pulled out of the ice fishing deal, but
oh gee, I quit maybe
90s.
9-10 years ago.
Oh,
8-9 years
I
I
ago.
would say it was
Yeah.
probably 98 or so.
I got
when he
smart. I
quit.
sold all my trips to Craig Hoopman, all my nets and that. So I thought if I
were they
sold
good
that,
nets in them days, or
yeah, they were very good nets. I kept them up good.
yeah? Did you
Oh,
buy them from
right.
somebody? Did you make them
I went
yourself?
down to Michigan. I got them from them down there. Dean Halverson told me where the guy down there, and I called him up.
Oh,
Went
I
down
see.
and
You got
pick
some
up and
good
bought
stuff.
so many boxes, and we went all through them. Mostly, I had went through every year. I'd go through a couple, 2-3 new nets, the ones bad ones, and slug them from one end to the
Strip
other.
'em out.
Strip them out.
Where'd you do that, out here in the barn, or?
I had a place upstairs. There's that Shugo used to have pickers stay here years back upstairs in the garage here. Yeah, there was petitions up there, and he used to have pickers right here. So then at the end, then I had the whole thing, and then I had a reel on the end down there, and I used to work up there.
Let me get back to the berry business a little bit. I know that for years now, seen you, I know that you got your own pick your owns and
Yeah.
strawberries and stuff. Tell us a little bit about how that industry is evolved, or I know that you're retired, so I imagine they got you in the labor camps out there. or something
Yeah.
like
I've been
that.
there for years.
Yeah,
Every summer.
yeah. Tell us a little bit about that strawberry business now.
Back in what was it, in the early in the 70s,
80s.
going into the 70s, 75, and through there 76. We used to pick everything and ship it out fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how we got into let's have pick your own. Then we start keeping so many. We leave the old patch. Berries you can keep for roughly 3 years. You can keep them longer, but then the weeds, kind of take over, and it's hard to pick like that.
Spend as much money weeding as you do.
So then we started with a pick your own deal going. And holy man, it caught on, and it just kept going and going and going. And then come find out, you were making more money on pick your owns than you were picking them and shipping them out, because you didn't have the crate, you didn't have the boxes, you didn't have the people
Those expenses.
picking
Right.
them.
Did you bring your berries early on down to Keens and stuff?
Yep.
Were you part of that
Oh
group?
yeah, that was part of that group.
Well, I'll get back to that in a second, but
Well, anyway, we was up there and we got into the berry picking, and we had roughly all the way from 8 acres up to maybe 10 acres of strawberries.
that's a lot of berries.
And we used to get picked out. They'd start coming, and they'd be 200-300 people a day would come picking berries.
It was unreal.
And we would be picked out by 11 o'clock. We were done picking by 11 o'clock. They'd pick the whole thing out,
Jeez.
and they'd just keep coming. Next day'd come, same thing.
They
So,
used to be waiting. I'd go up there in the morning from
7
here,
o'clock.
and they'd be parked out on the road waiting till I got there at 7.
Really?
And then we had a couple of the kids parking cars. That's how busy it was when
Yeah.
it first started. It was
Yeah.
probably
Where'd
in
these
the
people come
early
from?
80s.
They came
from
from
Minnesota, all over.
All over.
Used to come, and then
All the way down. We had a lot of people from down around Hayward, down through that area. A lot of people in these resorts and that came there.
up from Minnesota, a lot of big families. They'd pick, I don't know, 100 pounds.
We had people come and pick 25, 30 crates of berries and take them out and sell them themselves. And they'd come back again and do it.
Oh, I see. So they made a little profit.
Right,
They go home
right. And probably never had a job and probably, something to do.
But
You
then
had
it
no
caught
labor
on.
costs, you had no
Didn't have nothing, just the
materials
berries.
costs.
It don't say nothing. I mean, it costs a lot of money to raise berries.
What do you figure it costs to own a berry of, an acre of berries? I bet you're talking.
Oh, when I started, I can remember when I came to work in the 60s, we used to pay roughly for 1,000 berry plants. It was about $15 to $16 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, last year, I paid $160 1,000. So over the years, that's a big jump.
How many berry plants in an acre roughly?
Oh, there's probably, what do you want to say? We used to put in 50, 60,000, 70,000 plants to that. So you're probably talking into an acre, probably 2,000 plants, 3,000 plants.
So and then you got spray, and
Oh,
then
you don't even have a clue, Bob.
yeah,
No, it triple. You can't make nothing out
and
of it.
fertilizer.
Yeah, fertilizer.
So right now it's not
A year ago or 2 years ago, I used to buy a ton of nitrogen for what we would be paying $150. And last year or the year before, I paid almost $800 and some thousand for the same ton. For a ton.
and you can't charge $6 a quart either.
no.
You
nobody
cannot
will
get
pay it.
any more now
Than what
for
you're
a
making.
quart of
back.
berries than you could 5 years ago, hardly.
Interesting. And the costs have gone up.
Oh, and
6
the
times.
boxes,
The
you know,
boxes,
the little
the products,
boxes,
and that's just on a
paper
stuff.
products, and
Shipping.
shipping.
We
I
used
mean,
to-
gas. You take the gas to take them to
Well, we got
Minneapolis
into
or
it when
whatever.
we bought our place up here. We bought 40 acres from Gene and Viola Betzel off of that part up there. But we started our own little place. My son Ed, he wanted to get into it, so we went into business together with him. So we called it the Bayfield Fruit Company. We got blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, apples, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then everything that we bought, everything we picked, we would ship it down to the market down in the cities. And he's got 3 vans that are refrigerated. He can haul like 180 crates of berries in them vans, stick them in there like that,
Okay.
right to the top. Well, over the last few years, the price of fuel just about kills you. And you got to go both ways, down and back.
And you got nothing coming home.
Then you got to get somebody down there to help you sell them. So we weren't making nothing.
Transferring money.
Yeah, that's all it was.
That's all it is.
But why don't you quit? I can't quit.
I've been telling him now, quit, but he's got to have something to do.
I'm starting to see the light, but
I hope so.
one of these years, dear.
My dad, I don't know, I wanted to get Mary Jo to say this, but my dad kind of laughs. He said he'd heard a quote that came from you. And he just giggles, and he's 94 now. I said, what the heck was it? He says, Mrs. Rabideaux said that, what was it? She never worked so hard in all her life to go broke or something like that.
That's right. That's all right.
Yeah, so, and every time he thinks of that, he just chuckles, so.
Jack Erickson always come by and he'd always stop everything.
Yeah.
Well, he says, neighbor, are we making any money today?
Are we
You
having
know?
fun today?
Yeah.
Are we making any money? I said, no, Jack, but we're okay. I'm going to miss him.
One day,
Oh, big loss.
one day he stops and he says, when did you start hiring monks over there to do your hoeing? And I said, what do you mean monks? He said, well, ain't that one over there? And it was Mary was hoeing. She had on one of these big straw hats. I said, that ain't no monk, that's Mary. Oh my God, he said, don't tell her I said that.
Oh,
That was just about 3-4 years ago when I was out. I was down the road. And
I missed that old guy, Jack. He was quite a neighbor.
yeah, one of the great guys of
Good
all
guy.
times.
He was just special. He always told it like it was.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that what was on his mind? That's what he...
He was comical, too.
He was.
He was.
You know, we just, one of the things we got started a little later in this interview series, and he's one that we never got to.
That's a shame.
Him and Bud Badine both are
Yeah.
just 2 losses right there.
Yeah, really.
Because
There's- Fishing would have been a big thing in there on their side.
fishing berries,
Some of the
DNR,
stuff he went through.
Yeah, and his
That
experience with DNR.
Well, we did quite a few hours with him.
we did prior
First go around, yeah.
in '88.
Yeah.
You had my mother. You did my mother. There's one in the library.
Is that right?
With Mrs. Betzel.
Yes. Oh, yes, we
She
did.
used to graft trees and that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she was quite a lady, that Mrs. Betzel. She could do anything. She wasn't scared to tackle anything.
Mary Jo, it sounds like you weren't afraid to do anything either. You were.
No, I've tackled just about anything. There isn't much I haven't done.
So you're going to be in the berry season now. I'm talking with your neighbor Jimmy down there, and he's saying, I don't know what the hell Rabideaux is going to do in the
You got to keep Jimmy.
You
guessing,
got him on hold right now. He's trying to figure you out right
Yeah.
now to see if he's going to corner the market or what. But
I don't know. I'm going to start cutting down some. Like I said, I'm going to start, I think, cutting out maybe. If somebody come along with the right law, I think I'd sell it.
yeah, but I mean, one of Jim's big problems too now is you talked about 200 or 300 people here to come and pick.
It's hard to
It's
find.
hard to find people
You
even.
cannot find people to work. To
But
work.
I gotta say though, the people are starting to pick up a little bit again on this, processing stuff, picking, more canning and more getting into it, knowing and freezing, putting in bags and freezing it. And
You're seeing
over
a
the
little
last,
more.
over the last 5 years, I noticed that.
Up a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's starting to pick up.
I see them with their kids too. I think a lot of mothers and stuff. I helped Jimmy a little bit
Yeah,
in that field over there. What I notice is a lot of the younger people like to bring their kids up there
Oh,
for that
yeah,
picking
yeah.
experience. In
Yeah.
the old days, it was mandatory for us.
Right. We
Nowadays,
didn't have
it's
a
like,
choice.
do you want to go? And
Yeah. Do
I'll
you
tell
wanna?
you about that. Bringing a lot of kids, it's kind of a family deal. You got to go with it. But I'll tell you, they do a lot of damage too in the field. They don't. If the people bring their kids and they would take care of them, keep them in rows or stuff like that. Some of them they don't even care. Just go through it and they smash everything up.
But yeah, and they hit the new berries that are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care. They just,
I found berries that I suppose people they start pick too much, and leave the berries out in the field. So, you know, they didn't want them and just leave them there.
Just leave 'em.
Sometimes you miss it; they're all spoiled. You can dump them out.
Yeah.
You know that kind of stuff too. But
Yeah.
on a hand, usually it's pretty good, very good. There's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah.
most of the people are good.
Are you got any apple trees yet now? And are you still selling at apple festivals? And
Oh yeah, we
Tell
still
us
got
a-
into that.
tell us a little bit about your apple festival experience and stuff like that. I know
we
that
got-
Betzel's have been down there for years and years, and Rabideaux orchards.
Oh, we've been going to Apple Fest since and for when did they start? I think we
64,
missed.
64.
I think we missed maybe the first one, first two
Probably
maybe.
66.
We've
we
been in
started.
the same spot down in Bayfield off of Rittenhouse and Broad Street in that corner. That's where we always been there ever since they started.
But I sold my stand last year.
You did.
No more. No more. The kids said to me,
What
they,
is this throwing the towel in type of attitude we're going through here?
my kids said last fall, they said, Mom, why are you doing this? You know, it was a very poor year to start with because it rained the whole weekend. And I sat there and I thought about it and I said, yeah, why am I? So then I said, I'm selling it. And I sold it that next week to the town of Russell.
Oh, they got your stand.
They got my stand, so I have no choice. And I'll just sit down there and watch the people go
You
by.
go down and you can buy a piece of pie now.
Right, I'll buy pie from somebody else.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
We
It is.
sold ours, like it says, for ever since that time, and you'd be surprised how much you sell down there. That's good, and you'd be surprised how many people come back to you. You know that you get to know. They come back
Over
every
years and
year,
years.
come back, and they talk to you, and it's unbelievable the amount of people that come and say, "Well, we got this from you last year. We got this from you last year."
But from the time we first started, we'll say 70s, until now, it used to be bushels. Everybody had to have one or two bushel, you know, big time.
Give me two. Give me two.
Yeah. Now
it's a
you're
shame.
lucky they say a 5-pound bag. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you kids eat all this? now?
Yeah. Would you like a couple apples? Do you think I should buy all this? I mean, you know, it's just,
Can I buy one of each?
yeah.
Then
That's
some-
right.
then
Or how much
somebody-
does it take for
You're
a
good at
pie?
the selling over there.
I'm decent. But
Somebody'd say, "Oh, that much?" I said, "Yeah, you got to remember, lady." I said, "Nothing hurts small business like small profit." Yeah.
well, they don't realize too what it costs to
Oh.
run that apple orchard. How many trees you got under your that you
How many I
take
got?
care of now?
Oh, I don't know. I got the new Honeycrisp orchard up there. I got just about 300 and some trees in there. And I got 65 across the road, across the creek over here. And then this old orchard here, I don't know, I keep that. There's probably 70 or 80. And then the orchard along Betzel's orchard down there is probably, about 800 trees down there.
So you're looking at close to 2,000 trees,
Yeah,
something like
roughly,
that.
yeah.
1,500, 2,000.
And you got to prune them all. You know about that.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Well, when you first got this place, was there already?
That was
Orchard
this
on it?
old orchard right here was one of the things, and we had this one here. We always had that, and I always kept it. Was 99% all Cortland, and it just stopped right about here. Then I added all the rest of the different varieties there, and then back here, and I put some Harrelson, red Harrelson, Macintosh, and some other varieties, and then on the other side we put all the Honeycrisp in the red Baron and
Red Baron.
a few other kinds. There's some of those regions, put some of those in. And then the Honeycrisp come out. That was an apple that you kind of look at it two ways. It's a great apple, but then you can just sell the heck out of it, and the rest of your apples will sit there. Everybody just
Is it
wants.
good or bad to
just
have
want,
it?
right. It's you look at it either way like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
When did the Honeycrisp come in?
They come in about the same time as the Cortland, maybe a little bit later into that, like that part like that. It's crossed with a red delicious or golden delicious onto a Harrelson
Ah,
with the two
Well, that's what
Right,
it's.
yeah.
I see.
It's
That's
got
the mom and
that. It's
pop.
got that tart sweet flavor to it. Excellent eating
That
apple.
is great
It's
apple.
one of the best
is.
that there is.
But
What's the best apple for baking pies?
She makes all her stuff out of the Cortland.
Cortland.
It's just an excellent pie and sauce.
It is.
My little grandkids there, when they call up and they call her Grandma Applesauce.
Oh, is that right?
She always sends them down a whole case of applesauce.
Oh boy.
I'm Grandpa Apple and she's Grandma Applesauce.
So what do you think the future of the apple industry around here is?
It's never going to die.
You think
It's
it's
here forever.
been here from 1905 till now?
Yeah, it's going to be here.
Yeah, it'll stay.
It'll stay. It's
I mean, you're getting a lot of competition from Michigan and Minnesota, and people that never used to be players in the whole thing now are all of a sudden on the
You're
bandwagon.
getting a lot of from overseas is where you're getting most of your big stuff.
Braeburns and stuff
Actually,
coming
look at the Japanese. They got the Fuji and all that. They're shipping a lot of apples into this country.
Braeburn out of New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes you wonder. I mean, you got a local market here for the most part,
Yeah.
and you don't see the guys getting in the vans anymore and the trucks and the semis and going to North Dakota like Ronnie Barningham and Jimmy and those guys years ago.
That was we did that. I was into that. But we used to go with vessels up there and hit them. You went to the same old ones, and it was tough selling.
Did you make any money at it then, or is it just kind of
You
like,
got rid of them. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It's all depends how many you had on your way back home is what you sold them for.
that? And that was probably
Yeah.
after all expenses paid. That was maybe
Yeah.
what you pull there as your profit for the
Yeah.
year. Or
Yeah.
a little bit
It's
better.
like what we did here all these years. You're not making too hell of a lot of money, but you've got a good life and you're making a living. That's
Yeah.
just about what it means. It's just like anything else.
Yeah, you get everything paid for, and
Anything else, yeah.
We
I
thought
don't owe nobody nothing. And
we had thought a few years back. He said, "Well, if I stay with American Motors, I'd really have a good retirement." You know, and that.
but what else would you have?
But
you
then,
know?
what would you have? What would you have raised your kids with, compared to this area? You know.
I often thought about that. What my kids enjoyed going through life as they were growing up. You know, going through living up here in this part of the country. I don't think you can't put a figure on it.
you can't put a price
you
on,
can't
on
put
the
a price
quality of
on
life.
it. Right,
No,
right.
the kids, my nieces were Betzels and our kids, and they would leave in the morning, and they had forts, and they had trails, and they had every day. And then my mother was up there, and she would fix them a little lunch, and they had more fun, you know, through the growing up around here. With kids don't do that anymore.
In the city, a lot of kids never got off of cement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
Didn't know they thought an apple came from Macau.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah, no,
Now,
it's-
how many kids do you have?
we have
We had
fun.
5.
Because the last I heard, you had 2 down in Kenosha.
Well, we had 2 down there, and then we had 3
and
up
you came
here.
up here. Now,
We had 3
why don't
kids.
you just go through them, who the kids are and what they're
Ed
doing?
is our oldest.
No,
No,
Denise.
Denise. I'm sorry. Denise was the oldest. Then Ed. Denise is in Minnesota. She's retired. She was a nurse.
Denise is a nurse.
Yeah, she
I haven't
retired.
seen her in years.
And then Ed, he's down in the cities, and he is in produce, and runs a big outfit down in the St. Paul area down there. What they did is they took the old Sears building down in Minneapolis, downtown
In
Minneapolis, yeah, and they revamped the whole building, and he's on the ground floor, and they sell just the best fruit and vegetables that possibly get a hold of.
So does he
That's big time.
redistribute to like Cub Foods and stuff like
He-
that?
No,
To the public.
it's
Oh,
just
to the public?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
He knows just about every person that's into produce that's down that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then my son John, he is working. He got into when he first got out of school. He got into cable TV, putting in installing cable. That was big then, you know. He got into that.
In the
Well-
Pat Galazin age group there?
Right, and then he went to school with Pat, and then he got into the same company that he worked for. He's selling. He got into the selling of the machinery now. He's running, and he's in the office, so like trenchers and all that kind of stuff. The name of the thing is Trenchers Plus,
Okay.
and he's in he takes care of all of northern Minnesota, all the way up. That's his whole district.
He's got, okay.
All the way up into Fargo, all the way like that, and then down towards Eau Claire, down through that
Okay.
area.
And where does he live?
He lives in Woodbury, Minnesota. Ed lives in Ham Lake area, and my daughter Diane, she went to college and graduated from St. Thomas, and then she went to work for State Farm Insurance, and she
How old, Diane, is she the youngest? Or Ed is?
Ed's the oldest.
Mike is the youngest.
Mike,
Michael's,
okay.
Well, then she was working for them, and then she used to take these. Somebody had an accident, she'd take these clients and she'd follow them all the way through court and everything with them, come back through that. And then it got into the point where the company was kind of starting to cut back. I think things were starting. She could see the handwriting on the wall, and they were going to close the place where she was working. She'd had to move south or someplace, and she said, "I'm going to start going to school again." She went back to college, and then she became a nurse. Now she works downtown in the Ramsey Burn Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know how she does it. She talks about some of them places that some of these burned people call. Oh,
My cousin Yvonne did that at Miller.
it's not bad. She said the older people. She said you can see that, but she said these little babies and these little kids that come in there, she said it just breaks your heart to see how they suffer.
Yeah, poor little.
Then Michael, he went to school. He graduated in Bayfield. He never went to college, but he went to vocational school. And when he was in Bayfield school, he said, "When I get out, I'm going to be a plumber." So that's what he got to be, a plumber. He went to school. He moved down to Milwaukee. He got married down in Milwaukee to a girl down there. They were having a baby. He got another job up into Eau Claire, and he was moving. He sold his house down there. He bought a new house there. They were moving, and he took his master's degree for plumbing. That's all the same time.
All within 2 weeks.
He passed the thing in the first time trying. I don't know how he did it, but he's a guy that if he knows something, he can remember it, what he read and what he
Pretty
did.
bright boy.
Very good.
Yeah.
I gotta give him credit. He's very proud of him. Then he went to work for he was going to go for himself, and I said, "Mike," I said, "it's tough to get started in plumbing." I said, "You get going." I said, "You think you're going? Somebody sucks you for $10,000. I said, "Where are you going to be?"
Yeah.
So he got. I don't know why you ever listened to him. He never did before, but he got started, and then he got into. He works for.
Maybe you got nipped for $5,000. I won't tell you that.
Never told me about it. Yeah, but he works for Certified Plumbing, which is a big plumbing place. 100 and some guys work out of there, and they're all unionized and everything. So he's doing real well.
So he's in Eau Claire now.
Yeah.
Good
So
school
that's where all
down
my
there,
kids
good
are.
place to raise a family.
And he lives in Ham Lake, right next door to my daughter Diane, right next to his sister. So that's pretty
So,
nice. They have a lot of fun.
So nobody in the family to take over this
No.
place?
They don't want it either.
They don't want it?
No.
No?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. They're going to get into all this your land preserve, farm preservative deal. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know who's going to want to come and start farming. Anybody in their right mind would.
Well, not after you've told us what you told us.
Yeah.
One thing you don't want to get into is strawberries. Another thing you may not consider is apples.
Yeah, you wonder what you're doing, eh? But it's been your life, you know.
You got to practice your selling
It's been
skills.
yeah.
Well, there might be some young couple that
Maybe so.
You know?
You
Yeah,
never know.
You never know.
No.
who have.
That's a nice spot up there on that hill. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You have some beautiful property here.
Yeah. Up on
This
top
is-
of this hill, you could sell that in a minute. But
Yeah.
up on there.
That could be, whatever. Hey, Mary Jo, I'm a little bit interested in getting to meet your brother and sister. We haven't spent much time. Can you tell us a little bit about Jean and your sister?
Well, Gene was the oldest, and he stayed on the farm, and he farmed. He did, he was involved with my dad, and then before Alan came on the picture, and he developed Parkinson's when he was barely 50.
I remember that.
So he really went downhill, and I think he was, what, 72 when he died.
No, he was 82.
No, he wasn't.
How long has he been gone? He was the same age as Bob. Yeah, he was. He died before Bob did.
Way before Bob did.
Yeah,
He was about 72 when he
yeah,
passed
right.
away from complications. of
Related to that.
the- Right, yeah. And
How old was he when he passed away?
72,
72.
yeah.
And
But he got it when he was around 50.
What year was he born? He's
Right.
12 years older than you?
Yeah, he was
He was
born
born
in
in 27.
27.
He'd be 80. He's Bub's age then.
Yeah.
Bub Wasmith and him.
Right,
We're all probably in
right.
school together.
Same.
They did go to school.
He went, yeah, he went to Bayfield School, and then I think at the Catholic school at that time, they went through the 10th grade. And I remember
Oh.
him talking about having classes there, and then something with the gym. Remember the old courthouse used to have the gym in that?
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind of in that era when they had the gym in the courthouse.
What was his wife's name again?
Viola.
Viola. He must have met her when she was teaching at Bayfield School.
She taught 1 year, and then they got married. And I
Yeah.
think she taught another year after that. And then she had gone to County Normal, so she had that County Normal 2-year teaching
Sure.
certificate.
Which was common in those
Yeah,
days.
very common.
Just butting in a little bit. Gene's lived on the farm. He had 5 girls. Her sister Dorothy lived in California. She had 5 boys. So that didn't help much in the family.
You got the genes mixed up there a little bit.
Then my sister graduated, I can't remember, she was a year and a half, so I suppose in the 30s when she graduated from high school.
Was she the oldest?
No, she was the second. Jean
Oh,
was
okay.
the oldest. And then she graduated and she worked downtown in the bank. Well, first she was going to be a nurse, but she got too lonesome and she never got past the first 3 days
Of school?
of school, and then she came home.
Sounds
then-
like any kids nowadays.
Yeah.
Right.
So then she worked in the bank remember the bank is where Roxanne is now?
Sure.
No, across the street.
Yeah,
Where
the
that-
whole bank.
Yeah, the old First National there.
Right. So then she worked there for a couple of years, and then her and Connie Hebert, or Connie Ryan at the time, they decided they were going to go out to California. Well, that was a big deal back in the early 40s to go out on your own. So they went out there and got jobs, and she worked. And then she met her husband there. He was in the service out there. He was
The end of the war then.
Yes, he was from Massachusetts.
Mm.
And so they stayed out there, and that's where she lived all her life.
What was her full name again?
Mine?
No, her full name.
Her full name was Dorothy
Michael,
Cletus, something, Dorothy something, I can't think of it. But Mikulisik was her married name,
Mikulisik, okay.
yeah.
That's
So-
so Mikulisik.
But she had a brain aneurysm when she was probably 60-something, and she survived it.
That's a miracle.
It is. She had 2 of them, but the first one they didn't really realize what it was, and she just had like the fainting spells. And then the second one was major, and they rushed her down to the big hospital in LA. And she had a stroke on the table while she was getting operated on, and it was right here in the front of her head. So when she came out, then my mother went out and spent a month with her and rehabbed her and working with her and getting her back. So she was pretty good, but when you once have an aneurysm, your mind is never clear.
Yeah, you've lost blood to certain corners
Right,
of it.
and you can function and everything, but it's never that sharp that it was before. So
Yeah.
she, from that point on, was kind of like a invalid in a way.
A little lethargic and
Yeah, and so then from that, she died then just very peacefully. I guess she had a heart attack, or she just
how old
one
was
day.
she when she passed?
70. She
Yeah,
died in
76.
93.
93.
So she was probably 73 or something like that.
Okay.
So basically, I have no living relatives. So his sisters are my sisters.
Yeah, so you got somebody to
Last and
to chew the rag with there anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All we got is each other. That's it.
yeah. Right.
Against all odds, we're going to make it.
Yeah.
right. So
What kind of advice would you give young people nowadays? You guys have kind of gone through 50 years of this and that and the other. If not only your own kids, we'll exclude them from this conversation, but tell young people what they should remember about life now and how they should live it.
I always said, never go to bed mad. Get even.
Yeah, before you get there.
I don't know. It
I
just-
don't know. I really think that what people are missing is taking care of people, being compassionate, care. You know, I mean, not trying to get the best of somebody. You know, so many people are out for themselves now.
Well, I've been married we went together before, 4 years before we got married. And we never did have any fights or nothing, in 50 years. And, I mean, we never had any downright
Arguments,
big
but-
fights, like
Like some people
Some good discussions, maybe.
Yeah,
Good
well,
discussions.
you always knew enough to walk away.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to look at it that way.
It's hard to say, but times have changed a lot
Yeah,
for the
well,
people now. For
You take when we got married back in '60. I know all the people that got married in that same year. They're all still together, and that and you think about
Well, that tells you something about your own parents, though.
yeah.
I mean,
They never did that.
and I mean, you probably, whether you listen to them or not, it probably rubbed off to some degree. And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
but things you had today. There's too many gimmies. You know, they get everything for nothing. They don't have to work for it. Kids don't have to work. The parents both work, so they feed their kids whatever money they need. That's not good.
Yeah.
It is not good. They should have to work,
Real work.
real work. Learn to do what it is to work.
When I was a kid, I remember I had my dad
Yes.
said, "You're going to be riding in the back of that little red and white truck that belonged to Martin and Tina Erickson." And
Yeah,
I've never. Well, I'll tell you what. I did that till I was about a dozen years old.
yeah.
And
Our kids all worked. They
Yeah.
had to work. They didn't do it so much here, but they did a lot. But
they
they
used to
still
work at a root beer stand. I think
they worked downtown. They worked all over. They worked at the gas
they're
station.
busy all the time.
They had to work. And I don't
She
think
worked at that for Jack Erickson
I-
or Jack Johnson on a
I
root beer
did too
stand
down
when they had-
there at the root beer
Oh, okay.
stand.
What
Shirley's
do you
got some pictures of all of us when we were at the root beer
Isn't
stand.
that fun?
And I worked
What'd
at
you
the
do
bean
there,
factory.
Rabideaux?
I was a waitress and
Car hop.
car hop.
This is when you were in high school? Yeah.
I can remember going down there and wait for her to get done working.
Really? I can remember when it was a nickel a root beer down
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, right.
The little
20 cents for a hot dog, and I mean they're a real hot dog. With everything on it.
We just went to where did we go to? In California.
Oh no, we went to Disney World.
Disney World.
this
We
year.
just went there and talking about the hot dogs and talk about the price of food. We were at this one restaurant that night, and there was a guy and his wife sitting over, and I was talking to them, and he was from Michigan, and it happened to be Princess Night at this restaurant. All the princesses came, and then all the little girls that were came in to get their autographs. So they all had an autograph book. And this little girl had a hot dog, and the guy she ate her hot dog, and the guy was sitting there, and he got the bill, and he looked at it, and his eyes got about this big. Holy mackerel! That ain't what he said. He said, "Holy mackerel!" He said, $22.50 for a hot dog at a restaurant.
And I was just telling you 20 cents.
Yeah.
I think it was 30 cents for a burger down there in them
Yeah,
days.
$22. And all she did is she took the hot dog out and ate it. And he said, "Don't throw that bun away. I'm eating that."
You eat the plate too.
Yeah.
No, and then I
Good
worked
time.
at the bean factory. They remember when they used to have the
The old
bean factory,
cannery?
the old cannery.
Tell us a little bit about life in that war zone.
It's vague. I worked in the summertime, but I just can't hardly. I remember my dad. Well, I had to be 16 to work, so I got to take the truck downtown. And coming home, I didn't know why that truck didn't drive just good. Well, here I had a flat tire. And
No.
my dad said, well, didn't you know? I said, I didn't know.
I thought,
Maybe she couldn't do any wrong, you know.
I'm spoiled, I suppose.
Had the stick shift.
Uh-huh.
You know, you
Did
had
you-
to learn on the old stick shift. You didn't have anything automatic back in back in the 50s.
No, just grind them into gear.
Yeah.
Did a lot of kids work in the bean factory?
If you were 16, yeah, they had just certain jobs. You know, they had labels put on and everything, and I vaguely remember. I think we put them in boxes or something, and then they had somebody else lift the boxes and.
Lenny Erickson was telling us a little bit about that, and Bill Derrigan.
Yeah, I just know
Allwood.
we had a lot of fun, you know. But
Do you remember what you got paid?
you know,
Yeah. I worked at Allwood. Remember Allwood? I worked there for a lot of time. I worked, me and Larry Young used to run the press. Worked the press when you used to sandwich the panels together.
Okay.
Oh, that was nasty. I think I went through more clothes than what I made there. You're paying all glue. You were
Yeah.
from one
I
end
can
to the
remember
other.
it.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Didn't you get those nice aprons or something?
Ah, you bet.
Yeah.
I think Bill Darragon said he also worked.
Yeah, he was working there when I worked there.
Yeah.
I only
Yeah.
worked there, not in
Bill,
the
I
work
think
There's a
is
lot of people
his
work there.
name,
Yeah.
his age.
Yeah, it's good.
I think Bill is your age, isn't he? Bill Darrigan is your age.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Yeah.
You get a nice recap of his family and stuff like that. The old Derrigan.
Oh, you did.
Real interesting piece of history there.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be kind of fun if you got photos or something of family members before we leave
You
today.
might want to look at this one here on the top up there is my mother, and this is the lady that adopted her. You want to take that down?
Well, we
You
can
wanna
do
take a-
that.
take
we
a
can do
2-minute
that
break?
after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
John, is there things that you want to ask here? I'm kind of like running on low on gas right now.
Well, what have we missed here?
Not much.
Huh?
Not much.
You know, this
I
has
think
been
we've
great. You
covered
guys have
everything.
really filled me
Wonderful.
in on a whole lot of chapters here.
I'm really surprised at what we remember too.
Yeah.
So I want to catch you now before you're 90.
Yeah, right. I can't remember.
We've talked the farming end of it, the fishing end of it, the growing up in Bayfield end of it, the raising family end of it. Are any fun stories you want to relay about your children or grandchildren? You know, like famous Eddie stories that that'll really embarrass the hell out of him in a long time, but nobody will know about anyway till they pick it up later.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, he was.
Oh, I can remember John, my third youngest one. We moved here then, and it was in the summertime. And
I had him. He was the first one, the first two, and then he was the third one, and he was born here.
he was the first one born here.
And he was probably about 2.
He was a little older than that.
No, 2 or 3. And of course the other 2. There was 3 then.
Sitting around this table here.
Yeah, but anyway, we were, you know how you say to kids, oh, you make me so mad, or whatever I said, I don't even remember.
She said, "Boy, you just wait till your father gets
Oh,
home."
that's probably what it was.
And
You're going to
all
get
of a
it.
sudden, I came home and there's no John. Where'd John go?
This was at noon.
And we had a pretty good sized pond down here, and I just dreaded that pond. And I told
We
him,
looked.
never go to
looked.
that pond, And I just hated to go look down there to see floating in the pond or something,
Yeah.
You just, that comes to you first thing. And we hollered, and then I called up the fireman. Mrs. Betzel come down, and Ed come down, and Jean came down, and we looked and looked and
We
looked.
went down here
We went
to
down
the
the
Hausers
road,
lived down
up the
here
road.
then.
Man, where did the kid go to? Person Diane or Denise, she went outside and she said, "John, Dad and Mom got ice cream." He jumps up, he's standing out there in the,
He was just right over here in the
field
bushes.
in the deep grass.
Oh, got ice cream, baby.
You don't think he got ice cream? Oh, that was one of the things. He never ever pulled that. None of them ever pulled that again.
Oh boy.
Were they pretty good kids all through school?
Oh, they were all very, very good.
They
Kids
were
never
good
had any
kids.
problem with none of them.
Just
They
a normal.
were very good.
Little things and
Lots
nuances.
of running. Go to school after basketball practice, after wrestling practice.
They didn't have rides home then.
Yeah.
It was
So we had to go get him.
Go
you
get
get
'em.
down there.
take him down,
Take,
get him.
well, we'll get one. Pretty soon the phone rings. Dad, I'm ready. Yeah, to go get the other one. And it was
There were no
up and all
buses
that.
running then? Or?
We had buses that would pick them up, but if they had extra after school things, you did
right.
it yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I used to walk home after basketball practice and Bayfield all the way to Red Cliff.
What was your basketball team when you were in high school?
You know, just like now, up now. We had good teams. We had 4 teams. We had
Yeah.
just up
You
and down.
graduate some good seniors
Yeah.
and stuff, and then you
We
go.
had Red Compton. Remember Red Compton?
Yeah.
And myself, Dick Shovik, Larry.
Larry Young.
Yeah, we used to go to Ashland, Washburn, and down below we had they used to have kind of tournaments in Ashland and that.
Okay.
We'd go down and we'd wipe them guys right out.
Really?
And we won quite a few trophies down there.
Was Carly Smith on your team at all? Or
No,
he looked
he
later?
was younger. He was younger than us. But that Jerry Fazell, he was a big guy. You know Jerry how he was, but he was a big guy and
They call him Bonehead?
yeah, bonehead. He couldn't jump much, but he was a center, and we'd feed him that ball, and he had kind of he'd turn like that, and he'd had a twist to that ball. It hit the back, it would hit the backboard, and boom, it was right in the bucket. He was always good for 25 to 30 points every game. Always, yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
He was big boy. I can remember him.
You got out in 57.
He was he was such a strong guy. He was just like that. And we were down at a roller skating ring one night, and he come out of there, and there was a guy and had his girlfriend in a little pickup, or in a little Model A coupe. Big boy walked. He grabbed the hole of that little coupe and he picked that thing right up in the air like that. Just shook it like that. Dropped it.
His dad was Johnny?
The guy got out and going to raise him. He was knocking away.
heard he was pretty tough, yeah.
He was though.
I just thought of one basketball coach. Do you remember we were struggling with that?
Yeah.
Do you remember the name Ed Kernan?
Yep.
Yes, that was when
Yeah.
we had.
The one that was married to the Iverson girl?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so I had. He was
That's
my
it.
coach too.
Yeah, I just thought of that. No, it takes me a while, 2 hours
Yeah.
later, but
Sparky Durham. Oh, he was another one in school. Then.
would he fight at the drop of a hat?
No, but he was just into something all the time. Sparky was just one of these kids that always
Full of
had.
mischief.
He was in the mischief.
Yeah.
One time he put you know how Carl T. Larson, he had a spindle up there. It was just a piece of wire tube thing, and he always put all your passes and all that on there like that. And he stuck it down on put it on. Remember Dougal Defoe? Mm-hmm. Bill Defoe.
Yep, I remember real good.
Set it on his seat. Bill sat on that. Mm-hmm. Oh, Carl T. He was unbelievable. And then another time he put a thumbtack on Carl T's up in the front in the assembly. I can still see Carl T sitting on that, and he just sat there like that, and you could just see the redness in it.
Coming out of his ears.
Remember the assembly, the big assembly?
That wasn't there when I was there.
It wasn't.
They vacated that whole principal there
Yeah.
by the time I got to school, in high school, so we never had assembly.
4 classes were in the one room.
In the library.
Yeah, it was
Would that have been the library or the old science room?
it was your study hall. It was
It
your
was the
study.
top part.
If you didn't have classes, you
I
had to
think
be in it.
now it's the art room.
Yeah, that to me, when I was in high school, that was the library.
Yeah,
Okay,
But
that
that could
whole
have,
thing was assembly.
it used to be assembly.
And I think in 1960 or 59 they might have changed it.
when Don Anderson came, he maybe brought in a different method.
Yeah.
Tell us, for people that may not know this, though, tell us what assembly was all about.
Well, it was a big room and it
If you
had
didn't,
all the
if you didn't
desks.
have classes at that time,
Yeah.
you had to be in there. There was no going through the halls or walking or going outside.
That was
or
your
nothing.
morning. You all came in there in the morning.
You got your directions.
And you
Yeah.
got your directions, you got your...
Then
you
the
were-
bell would ring, and then
Then you'd
whatever
go.
classes you had to go. Then
Okay.
you come back and you go there
Yeah,
again.
we had
If
the
you had
same
another
thing.
class,
Did
then
you?
you'd go
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, it was...
And then he ruled it with an iron hand. Old Carl T.
Well, I think after that they went with study halls type of thing.
Was his desk up on a podium raised so he could?
Yeah, it was up on a little step, on
Yeah.
a little thing like that, so you
And
could
he
say
was
where
up
you-
in the front. And then
And he-
you were all in
And he would
rows.
always be walking around and go down through the back and cut across the back, and you always knew he was
You didn't know
looking
what
for
was
something.
coming. But that's when they take attendance and stuff for the day
Right.
then too.
Took attendance, and if I remember right, the first ones to get there the first day of school, you got your seat.
Yeah,
Of course,
that's
it
what
was
he
the
said.
back to the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, everybody generated
Everybody
to
had
the
a
back.
desk there, and then underneath you had all your books for your classes were in there.
Is that where you left them when you went home at night then?
Yeah, or else you
That
took
was your
whatever-
seat.
That was
Yeah,
your seat.
assigned to you for the year.
Right, for the whole year.
Did you guys have lockers in high school in them days?
Just if you were in the, we had lockers.
We did.
Put your
Keep our
coats and
jackets
stuff
and
in?
put your coats and
I
that
thought
stuff
we just
in
hung them in the hall.
there. No, we had ours in the lockers.
Well, I remember down the lower grades, and I think those could have been some of the high school classes. You know, down where the principal's office was in 1960. Anyway, Don Anderson was there.
Yeah.
In those particular hallways, when I was there, that was first, second, third, and fourth grade. And they had the long hallways with the coat hangers and stuff.
We had the typing room was down there, and also the music room was down there
Was
when
it?
we were in school.
When I was in school, the music room was in the basement.
The home ec was
So, well, that's
actually where it is now.
That's
Yeah,
where there was,
that's
the
where it was
next
for me
next
too.
to the furnace room there, in that part there.
Yeah.
Remember?
Well, the home ec was upstairs.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the level. You remember you went down the steps here, and there's little, and then down to that level. Those were the grades when I was there, and then
It was right.
fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade was up on that new wing that they built in '53.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Other than that, I can't remember nothing.
You know, I wanted to. Bill Hepner was your
Yeah.
gal, right? And we interviewed Mary Hepner, but she forgot to tell us a story, which I hope you can tell us. Which was when he retired, and there was the celebration for him down at the pavilion.
hmm
Can you tell what happened there?
Oh, it was down at the pier.
Is that the pier?
Yeah, and you couldn't get Bill, wouldn't do nothing. He wouldn't go to something like that, you know, to anything that he never even, when he died, he didn't even want his funeral, you know. Well, anyway, how are you going to get him down here? So that's, you know, this was the end. He was retiring from the fire department, and he retired from the ambulance service and this and that. So everybody got down to the pier, and Mary came, his wife came, and she said, called him up, and she said, Bill, will you get down here right away and get the ambulance? She says, there's a lady in here that's having a baby. And Bill comes flying down the street with the lights going and the whole thing. He runs into the pier. There's Mary laying on a seat, laying on the floor, and she's got a big pillow. And I think Bill, when he finally found out what was going on, he could have killed her, I think.
If he really pulled the wool over his eyes on that.
Yeah, right. He was a character, that Bill. He was always doing something.
Well, and Mary
like that.
said, prefacing the story, because she told me the story later at the post office, and she said he was always petrified that if he would be called,
Right, to have a
have a
deliver
birth.
baby, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is that right?
you're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He was just about, he didn't like want to
But
have
Bill-
nothing to do with that, you know, giving childbirth
Yeah.
on the ambulance.
What a good
We
story.
were, there was other times too when we got going at, like, firemen would have something going on. He didn't like to get into it too much for himself, you know, he didn't want too much of a fuss made over him.
I was on the fire department with him and you guys from 1975 to 1982. There were some interesting characters on the fire department. Maybe you'll recall a little bit. A guy by the name of Gene Anand, who was
Oh, yeah.
probably somebody we should
Yeah.
talk to, and Tony Kovacevic.
Yeah.
You guys they were like at the
Billy Batan's still on there.
sidewalk baton there,
Yeah.
and
One time, Bill called me up. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." He says, "Come on down and give me a hand." I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "We're going to put a new roof on the. That's where the old
Am-
fire department
ambulance
is, where the
hall is
ambulance
now.
was there, right across from Morris Batan's.
yep.
And we put the whole roof on that day, just him and I. He said, "Christ," he said, "how many people belong to the fire department?" I said, "I don't know." He says, "I think there's only 2." Then we turned around the next week and we painted it. Just the 2 of us.
Bill was really civic minded.
Very civic.
No one knows all
Yeah.
the things he did for the city. They
Yeah.
absolutely have no idea.
And he did it quietly.
Yeah, he did. Very
He
quietly.
didn't want any fanfare. Nothing.
And I think he was that way with Bayfield County too.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Did
he
his
was.
job.
Very, very good man.
Get up.
Take a little 5, Johnny.
Yeah, we're about on this card too. So
You got a cramp?
Yeah.
I'm on the top 2 pictures. Why don't you
Okay.
describe who they are?
This is my father, Edwin Betzold.
What's his name?
Edwin.
Edwin.
Edward Bitzel.
Okay.
Edwin.
And then this is him when he was a baby.
What year is that? Say on there.
Nine,
No,
oh,
the
1,
1-year-old.
19, I know.
Okay, let me go down to the next. I'll go in on the. I have to get the focus for each one here, so. So I'm in on the house.
That was the original home that my mother and dad built in probably 1947. And that was from lumber that was grown on the farm and then processed for the house.
And where was that located?
That was located up on the Betzel farm on Betzel Road.
Just up around the corner here.
Up about a mile from here.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this was my mother's mother. Her name was Mary Josephine Dauk.
Grandma, what's it say?
Grandma Dauk.
Grandma Delk.
D-A-U-K. Dauk.
D-A-U-K.
Right.
Okay. And then below that? That's
And then
you
below that is my mother and
Mary
me.
Jo.
And she supposedly
That's
had
you.
that she was out shooting or like a fox. She had a gun and a fox.
It was
But I
after-
don't know the
after
story.
chickens.
Oh, and the chicken coop.
Sure.
And then this is me when I had my dog when I was probably about 7.
Okay. I'm getting a little reflection on the glass, so.
Can you go this way?
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay.
Can I help here by?
Now that's you. That's you and your dog. How old were you there, probably?
Probably about 8,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's fun. Okay, now I'm in the lower tier, that far left, the 3 people.
This
there.
is my dad, my mother, my brother, and my sister.
Okay, and what are all their names?
It would be Ed Betzold and Josephine Betzold as my parents, and then my brother Eugene, and my sister Dorothy. And it was probably in the early 30s.
Wait, was that also up on the farm?
That was up on the farm.
Yeah. And how about next to it?
And the next one is my brother and my sister and a friend of theirs. That was probably in the early 40s.
There's the old dairy truck.
And then this one over here is the truck that they delivered milk in the days of the dairy farm that they had, which would have been the 40s.
That's about a late 40s.
Right, late
What is
40s. I'm not
Is that a
sure.
Chevy?
I'm not sure.
What that is.
42
So that's they delivered the milk then, you were
Right,
talking
and
about.
it had their name on it, Betzel's Dairy.
Uh-huh. And then down below?
Down below is my sister and myself out in front of the house. I was probably about 8 or 10.
Oh my God. And this one? Oh, I'm sorry, John.
That's me.
That's the youngest known picture.
Yes.
Bob, you want another cup?
Maybe I'll just maybe a little something to
Wait a second here.
do that with.
So, who's in that little, whatever
That's
that is?
me.
Huh?
That's me, Mary Jo.
And how old were you, probably?
Probably about a year.
Year old?
Yeah.
That was quite a contraption you had.
Yeah,
there.
isn't that something?
State of the art.
That would have been about 1942.
Yeah. All right. So, here, okay, who's in this picture?
This is my mother, Josephine Betzold. And it was taken probably in 1985, roughly. She died in 91, so it was a few years before that.
And she lived to be an old age.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Okay. And next to it?
They're all of her.
They're all of her, okay.
They're all of her in different poses.
She was quite a lady, that Mr. Wessel. She was,
Oh, boy.
she was a, you don't come any better than she was.
You aren't here anywhere, are you?
So how old might she been in this picture?
Mrs. Lambert.
I would say about 85-ish,
Yeah.
She club of
something
that.
like
Was this
that.
also up there in the,
Yes, it was, up in their
up in the
farm.
farm?
And she always wore the little hat, and when she was outside selling apples or working when it was cold, and then she would sit and knit or crochet. She used to crochet Afghans.
So why don't you just slide it toward you?
Right.
Right. A little more, a little more.
Bruce Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, those are
And
old.
here she is again.
Bruce Johnson there.
Wallen.
Jimmy Wallen. It's a Duffy kid.
That's, Pat Duffy. I think this is the boy. It was a,
Is she a knitter?
Crochet.
Crochet. Right. Okay, then the next one.
Robert Rosette.
Keep going. Keep going, keep going. That's good. And then make it a little more vertical so I don't get the reflection. There we go.
You're right.
That's a nice picture of her.
Which rat runner?
Yep.
Okay, then the next
You know
one.
who that is?
What?
Lenny Pete.
A little more, a little more.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, here we are on the apples.
So no evidence he actually got that.
I remember this kid, but I don't know what his name was.
Let's see.
Wrong with the guy.
Tilt it just a little this way.
Bobby Sandstrom, Bobby Sawyer,
So this was a Lamourie. Eugene Lamourie.
there's your old
She
buddy.
looks in her element there.
Very much. That was her.
Yeah, Dougie Leaf.
Where was that? Is that in the apple shed there
Yes,
up there at the farm?
that was like in the shed or the garage, where across from the house where they sold their apples and.
This one here.
Dick Gorman.
Dick Gorman? Oh, yeah, that is Dick Gorman.
Yeah.
She ran out of there, she was crying and carrying on.
Couldn't take
Wait.
you guys wouldn't take
Boy, this is an old picture. What is this?
Now, this one?
She came,
Yeah.
Carl
This is
Keefe
my
and
aunt's.
We were all singing.
My
This is
sister's-
goddamn nice
my
movie.
mother's
Looked at it,
sisters.
put her on the walkway.
And what are their names?
One is Katie, and my mother is in the middle, and then her sister Ottilia was her name.
Wisconsin yearbook here. This is
When they were young.
Uh-huh.
An old picture.
Larry, yeah, but I don't
Probably 1910 or
Bill Basney, but that's
20,
before his
or probably about, no, yeah. My mother was born in 1900, so it was 1912. But Alan Rabideaux,
This is 50.
This is your
Bobby,
husband.
my husband.
Yeah. Taken when he was what?
Probably about 10.
Lulu Bill.
So how'd he get the name Bummy?
His mother said that he never stayed home. He was always gone, so she just started calling him Bummy,
Is that
for a
right?
bum.
On the couple on the couch.
That's his mother and dad, Alan's mother and dad, Frank and Elizabeth
Frank and-
Rabideaux.
What are their names again?
Frank and Elizabeth Rabideaux.
Right. And where was this taken, would you say?
This was taken in their home,
Was it Leona?
and it was probably when they were probably about 50
Maybe your wife will know.
So this was over there in Red Cliff.
in Redcliffe, at their home in Redcliffe.
Right. Okay, then next to it.
Next one is Alan Rabideaux when he was in high school and playing basketball.
Keep it on the here. Take a look at that. Want to make sure I keep them in the right package. Right.
Okay, who's in this picture?
That is Alan Rabideaux's mother, Elizabeth, right here.
Lois Carlson.
And that is her
Carol Peachover.
mother,
Sharon Soper. Donna
Mrs.
Sherman.
Peterson. Her name was Isabel,
This is Donna Sherman.
Isabel Peterson.
Uh-huh.
Remember her?
And she was in her native costume, Indian costume, and they took a picture together, and she's holding a little doll that looks like a baby, papoose.
So was she a full-blooded?
The mother was, her mother was.
Her mother was.
Lenny Erickson.
But she was, Alan's mother was adopted, and she
Yes.
was full-blooded Irish
So the Indian woman adopted an Irish.
lady,
Girl.
girl, yes. And I would say she was probably about 14 there.
She was adopted when she was 12, as I
Correct.
remember, right? Oh, that's quite a picture.
Then I have Tom Sawyer, and then